by Sunoco.
Silicon Valley Strikers taking on Chicago Tigers. Do or die for Chicago Tigers, as Silicon Valley Strikers would want to believe they want a day off tomorrow if they can get it done and dusted with in their favor. 1 out of the 3 already in the pocket of the men in blue. Saurabh Netravalkar, who would be having the bright new ball in hand starting from San Pedro end after Unmukh Chand flipped the coin in Chicago Tigers captain. Kevin Salvett said we would have bowled first too, but now they've got to bat and put a lot of runs on the board to try and defend it to stay alive in this tournament. First ball didn't bounce as much. And it's not like it reached out through and through. It's a little half-hearted, just inspecting the toe end of the bat. I'm Suhas Vedam, joined by Joe Hickey. Joe, how excited are you to cover this one?
I mean, it's a big thing to see the way that Chicago Tigers react to this. We said the body language wasn't great between games, but the amazing thing about cricket is they could come out here, win this game by a run, and it looks just the same in the record columns as the drubbing they took in game one. And either
That's gone straight to the fielder. You know what the captain, Calvin Savage, said at the toss? He said, come what may, you're going to expect better cricket from us in this particular game.
Well, they've made one change right out of the gate in terms of personnel. You'll notice Saad Ali is your opening batter alongside Prithvish Patel. And Charan Saiteja has been dropped from the team. Karan Kumar in his place. It's the lone change in either of the starting 11s. Obviously, if you're the strikers, why would you change anything after that first game?
Lovely swing as well. There is some swing on offer. The ball pitches and moves a little bit. And the fact is, Saurabh Netravalkar can do it in the second game as well. It's the second game of the day. Bright, sunny afternoon. And still the ball's moving. Just pure class.
Oh, that's impressive. The conditions maybe not as conducive as they were in the morning when bowling first was an easy decision.
Very good delivery. Again, it's not bouncing as much. The second time that he's been troubled by the lack of bounce when he expected more. But Joe, if this is a scene of what is to come, we are in for a thriller because it's going to be a bat and ball contest, not skewed in one favor, but bat and ball even contest.
And certainly Chicago looking for better this time around with bat in hand. Their average for the first innings of matches here in minor league cricket coming down by 10 as a result of that 95 they put up in game 1. 4-3 on the season when they bat first. Silicon Valley Strikers 5-0 now when chasing.
Right on the money once again in almost replica of the first delivery that he bowled. Saurabh Netravalkar, very, very accurate, much like a bowling machine. Joe, we talked about the ground itself in Morgan Hill and the fact that when Silicon Valley Strikers play at Morgan Hill, they try to treat it as their fortress.
Interestingly, they are the only Bay Area team that has taken a defeat here to somebody other than another Bay Area team. But generally speaking, Grizzlies, Blazers, and Strikers, borderline invincible here, 22-2 since the start of the minor league cricket championships.
Saad Ali will also do a bit of fielding if needed. Oh, what a way to end the over. Another priceless dot delivery. None for none.
1, 2, 3.
Rushiel's decided. Wait a minute, Kulvinder Singh it is, of course. And Rahul Jariwala has decided to wear Rushiel's jersey just to have fun with the commentators, perhaps.
I think Rushiel's 30, isn't he? I think that's Jadiwala's normal number.
Oh, yeah, that is his normal number.
So we got
I'm seeing a lot of threes here.
Yeah, we got a 30 in our line of sight there in Prithvish Patel.
Oh, yes. Yeah, the world's in balance.
Unique spot for him to be here at the top of the order, but looking for something in the way of change. Although, to be fair, it was the beginning of the match that went best for Chicago Tigers in our opening game this morning. And on strike right now, Saad Ali, yet to get off the mark after withstanding a maiden over from Saurabh Netravalkar, but he was the high scorer for Chicago Tigers this morning, 26 off 19 balls.
This didn't bounce as much, and again, it's been a common feature in both ends. If it is happening from San Pedro and it's still understandable, but if it's happening from the Ballard Avenue end as well, then that's how this pitch is going to behave. And Unmukh Chand at the toss said this is not going to change at all. And if he's confident enough as the home side captain, only then can you bowl first as well, when you know it's not going to change or deteriorate. Oh, wow, that is a lot of intent. Inside out, launches it into the sky and will travel the distance. First sign of aggression. Excellent shot, exquisite timing. And didn't try to hit it hard, just offered the full face of the bat and a ballerina-like front foot and a back foot going for throwing it up in the air. Oh, this one was in the air for just a brief moment. It's very, very difficult for a pace bowler to be catching it at ankle height when he's trying to bend again. Would you believe it? Now, had he pulled this one off, then everybody would have asked him what the lottery number is. He's extremely lucky. We've seen that in Santa Clara.
Yeah, definitely bowling with a rabbit's foot in his pocket right now. And for that matter, would have been the third remarkable cotton bowl we would have seen so far on the day. A couple of brilliant ones from Srini and from Saurabh Netravalkar in game one.
Yeah, Srinivas Raghavan, that is a catch to be talked about for a long time. We've talked about the fact that it's not looking good in terms of the theatrics. Might not be the most beautiful to look at, but to be very honest, he made look so simple because he was able to get there at the right time. We'll keep the chat alive. The end of 2, 7 for no loss.
My son, he's so soft-spoken. Oh, yeah! Everyone says he's so good-looking, and he never forgets to call.
Hi, Mom.
Born for your true self. The 2022 Tundra. Toyota. Let's go places.
Do you think the Seattle... But be on, off?
We can't see
We can't see your head.
Saurabh Netravalkar continues from the San Pedro end of the ground. Third best economy in all of minor league cricket, and looking to burnish that with a maiden in the first over. That one pounded into the ground, and it'll be 7 balls without conceding a run.
With the way that this game has started, you could almost sense that Silicon Valley strikers know that Chicago Tigers will be coming hard at them in this particular game. Of course, it's do or die for them, Chicago Tigers. But I also like the intent from Chicago Tigers. One delivery from the middle of the bat and the way it travels. The batter. Now, one thing we were discussing in the previous over as well, it's difficult to take that catch in a follow-through for a pacer, of course, because he's got to have a steady head to try and find out how quickly is it dipping on him. Now, mid-on and mid-off up in the circle. Just remember, 2 men are allowed to patrol the boundary rope in the first 6 overs. It's the first power play. Backward square in the deep, 1. A very wide third man, the second. And as soon as we say that, backward square would become a conventional fine leg. And that's perhaps because Prithvish Patel is not someone who's going to play the unorthodox strokes. He's going to do something which is going to be gifting a catch. He's gifted a catch to Lendl Simmons. And Prithvish Patel's promotion up the order has gone in vain.
7 for 1, another early wicket here in game 2, just as in game 1. We'll see if they can steady the ship this time around and build a power play like the last one, but going a great deal slower. Saurabh Netravalkar absolutely on top of everything. He is now through 9 deliveries, 1 for no runs.
Just got to say that in the first game, they were very cautious, and this time they're treading the path of aggression. They're going to find the right blend, much like Lakshmi House of Spices' right blend to provide the authentic taste and authentic cuisine that it reminds me so much of home.
I was going to say a few moments earlier that Chicago Tigers, likely with the way that Netravalkar is bowling, just hoping to see him off at this point for his spell in the power play and get through without any damage, and it is not to be. Prithvish Patel out. See who is joined. Saad Ali out in the center. It's like Marcus Ackerman again in at 3.
And Marcus Ackerman is now inheriting a scorecard, which he will not be proud of. They wanted a better start than this. Yes, there is aggression. Just get a feeling they've targeted the wrong bowler here. Went too hard at it. Prithvish Patel, who'd made his mind up to throw the kitchen sink at it. And little did he realize only as far as the 30-yard circle. Marcus Ackerman, he has taken up the slack so many times. He's borne the brunt so many times for the side. Can he do it one more time here to see the advancement of his side, at least to keep them alive in the tournament? Marcus Ackerman. Mind you, he's got all the shots in the book, Joe.
The 2 leading scorers for the Chicago Tigers now at either end of the crease. That one coming up and hurrying into the body of Marcus Ackerman. Welcome to the crease, Marcus.
Yeah, that should be a wake-up call. Syed Saad Ali, the way he was hitting through the line, it looks like he was batting on a different track altogether.
Well, and he's so far had the joy of being yet to face. No, excuse me, I'm not. I don't quite have that right. I thought he hadn't faced Netravalkar yet. Now he had the first 6 deliveries against him. It just seems to be a different thing. A, facing Saurabh, and B, dealing with it from the San Pedro end. Find Kulvinder Singh, first run off of Saurabh Netravalkar here on his 11th ball.
Sayed Saad Ali once again is going to play the longer innings, that is, to play an innings of substance. Not an innings of complete aggression, but one where he can change gears in the middle, try and reassess the situation, and play the anchor's role. Sort of be the circuit breaker to what otherwise was a clear slump in the first innings. The middle order absolutely collapsed, and they've got to find a way of not letting that happen. Sayed Saad Ali has done it in the past, especially against the well bowled, especially against the San Diego Surf Riders. He's got to try and emulate that against the Silicon Valley Strikers too. End of the over. A very successful over indeed for the quiet but very effective Netravalkar. 3 gone, 8 for 1.
What's up, Doug? What got into you?
At Sunoco, we know how to fuel peak performance. Fuel your best.
Joe, I want to bring you in with one of your stuff. A little bit. Hey, Joe. Sayed Saad Ali's got to bat a little differently. Now, his strike rate will take a hit because of that as well, isn't it?
You would generally expect it to. Admittedly, within the power play the last couple of weeks, he's managed to express himself, including the morning game, as we don't have the ability to quite update them that fast. But he's certainly expressed himself well inside the power play, even as wickets have fallen around him. They managed to preserve him this morning, helped him get a little bit more settled.
Then your stats are revealing a story which is music to the ears of Chicago Tigers fans, because if he can continue to bat the normal way without any pressure, then that positive batting can permeate into your teammates as well. White ball signaled. Kulvinder Singh is going to run in again.
Well, speaking of power play stats, Saurabh Netravalkar very much going about confirming what we already knew about him. A 3.5 economy coming into the day inside the power play, and 1 run off of 2 overs just now, managing to improve even on that.
Someone who's been in and out of the side, not because of capability, but because of national duty, to be providing 3.5 every time he gets the ball in hand. That economy in the power play, he is gold dust to the captain.
Without doubt, keeps it very tight then, and then of course we...
Joy, I wanted to ask you this in the previous game as well. How do you feel about the youngsters stepping up for the Silicon Valley Strikers, which anyway is a star-studded side? That is put away, beautifully put away. Didn't try to hit it hard, and that is the secret. He's just shown it the way. Go explore the city.
And one hit vaguely in the direction of San Jose. Now, the youth here in this team has come along in some beautiful ways, and particularly getting a look at what Rahul Jadiwala here in the center of your screen is capable of behind the wickets. The leader in dismissals in all of minor league cricket at the tender age of 18. And of course, Dev Dadani in the first game, 2 for 22. Nice contribution as well.
Even in a couple of opportunities.
A front row seat to a lot of his work. He was frequently down here at third man, directly in front of the comms box, and very quick on his feet, very sure hands.
Kulvinder Singh has shortened his run up a little. I think the outfield is a batter's best friend at the moment. Will not stop. Will have enough Sunoco to reach the fence. Much needed boundary.
Saad Ali, the leader on this team in 6s, and just a shade behind his teammate Karan Kumar for the team lead in 4s.
Just behind Karan Kumar, you said.
No, Karan Kumar, leader in 4s. We'll get a chance to see him a little bit later. He's the one chain for 2 as it's chased down by Simmons at a deep third man.
This is the most that Simmons been tested, but not in just 1 but 2 games.
Bit of an expensive over here for Kulvinder Singh. 14 from it, 22 for 1.
Took that last corner pretty quick.
Sir, I need 1 hand on the roof, 1 hand on the...
You fuel, you save, because rewards come first.
Of bowlers at the Devtadani takes the ball, 2 wickets for 22 runs in his 4 overs of work. Valuable contribution. We're used to seeing him coming in late in the piece, maybe at the death. Now starting to bowl inside the power play and eat up those middle overs as well.
Absolutely, and I really like this promotion by Unmukh Chand to Devtadani. You will get less cushion, but you've got to be absolutely accurate. Stick to your strengths. Don't try something new. These are the words which have been chirped on into the ear of Devtadani. And of course, we've talked about the fact that every time he looks for guidance in between a game, he just has to look as far as the 30-yard circle on either side. Either it's got Unmukh Chand or Chand, who's been excellent throughout the game, throughout the day, in fact, in the previous game as well. Now let's watch this one up. It's half an opportunity.
Well, and good, quick, aggressive running. As soon as he made contact, Ackerman was off like a shot. And it is certainly taking your life in your own hand, challenging the arm of Unmukh Chand. He had a direct hit that brought about the beginning of the collapse when these two teams met back in July.
I tell you what, the first time it was just a gentle push and the ball traveled to the fence, Joe.
Kind of a surprising lack of any urgency from the fielder down there at fine leg. I hardly saw him move, almost like he was unsighted or something. Well, Syed Saad Ali getting off to another good start here so far, 18 off of 16. He's got 3 balls that have reached the boundary.
Chicago Tigers, they've turned out with a great response to the previous game. I really believe that. Backing away, creating room. This is a statement sent to the opposition. Saad Ali is here to stay, and he'll make every ball his favorite delivery.
Certainly some shots that will improve the body language and the mindset of the Chicago Tigers. Coming in here, as we said, a do-or-die game for them. Have to get it done, or else there is literally no tomorrow.
I absolutely love this from Syed Saad Ali. He's forced the captain to make a field change. Unmukh Chand will be deploying himself at a very wide long off. And mid-on will come into the circle. That's a good delivery.
Gone!
That's a good delivery. It's hit Jariwala and then hit
that
the stump.
Okay, my mistake. Sorry.
Jariwala is in pain. He is in terrible pain as with all its ferocity. Ball has hit his shoulder. That is one of the banes of keeping up to Dev, because Dev might not look so big in build, but he can deliver a skiddy delivery, which is difficult to keep. Jariwala has learned it the hard way, but yes.
It's going to be right back up to the stumps. And in the firing line yet again. Youth on display at either end of the crease right now for the Silicon Valley Strikers. The 20-year-old Tadani bringing it through to the 18-year-old out of Fremont, Irvington High School shortstop and wicketkeeper for the minor league cricket champions, Rahul Jariwala.
And both of them have played a lot of cricket together, Rahul Jariwala and Devtadani, and they discuss a lot of cricket off the field as well. And they support each other come what may. 5 overs gone, 31 for 1.
वक्त आ गया है लक्ष्मी बासमती राइस को घर लाने का। लक्ष्मी एक्स्ट्रा लॉन्ग बासमती राइस, इसका हर दाना हो इतना लंबा, पकते हुए महके और प्लेट पे क्या खूब खिले।
Sorry. Go for it.
Spin from the Barrett Avenue end, as is custom here in Morgan Hill. Pranay Suri, who had a fantastic outing, man of the match outing in game 1, 3 wickets taken. And he was specifically responsible for one of those inside the power play that began the slow collapse of the Chicago. He'll face Marcus Ackerman. First delivery got pad, but not in line. The indication from the umpire going down leg.
A very job indeed. We talk about us having the replays, the slow-mos.
One in the air and snagged by Kulvinder Singh, who continues a fantastic week, dating back to Sunday in Santa Clara.
Oh yes, the lucky charm continues. And to the right position. And Kulvinder Singh has made one of the difficult catches look so simple. That's the end of the dangerous Mark Ackerman, who never got going. Hits one in the air, still in the span of Kulvinder Singh. Good catch to see the end of a very, very hardcore hitter. Big, big blow for Chicago Tigers.
Yeah, Ackerman substantially less than he was able to offer in the first game today. Had 21 off 17 in that game too here, just 3 off of 7. That is a big one, and we're starting to kind of look at this and see they were managing to avoid losing wickets. Thought maybe they'd come in with a bit more left in the kitty going into the middle overs, and instead, just as in that first game, Pranay Suri taking a wicket in the final over with the fielding restrictions. It'll be Manan Patel coming in to partner Saad Ali.
The bowling change has worked. To throw it to a spinner, it has worked big time for Unmukt Chand. Pranay Suri dropped it slow and gave him the width as well. Invited him to play that shot. Just took the risk. Was willing to take the risk. And in the end, walks with a wicket.
Well, a new man at the crease, Manan Patel, will be happy to get started with some spin. Hasn't faced a ton of it in his last few outings, but has feasted when he's gotten the opportunity. 14 runs off 7 balls of spin.
Yeah, that's also because of the situation that he came in. Here he's allowed to take a little bit of time, isn't it, Joe? What do you make of the rejigging of the batting order? That was in the air for a brief moment, but it's also hit very finely. Now the fielding will also involve football skills. 2 more added to the tally. Now, what do you make of this rejigging of the batting order as well?
Well, I imagine the tricky thing here, and we've seen some work done in the last few weeks. You know, Saiteja in, Saiteja out. You know, you're at this point kind of desperate to find a solution, find folks who are going to be able to deal with these top of the innings bowlers for the Silicon Valley Strikers. Clearly, in the first game, and even particularly the middle overs ones, you want to make sure you've got folks that can handle the spin. Srinivas Raghavan and Pranay Suri were just rampant in that first game.
Yeah, the last game, Chicago Tigers would have analyzed in the 2-hour break that it was about the middle overs which cost them the game, because that also cost them the momentum to be better towards the end. It's a domino effect, isn't it?
Play restrictions lifted.
Yeah.
Through 6, 34 for 2.
1, 2, 3.
And the continued adjustments to the batting lineup in search of folks that can make some hay against the spin attack. But right now it's the pace come to try to keep that one in, looking for more of the football skills, but to no avail.
That's a good shot in the end. Again, the idea is not hit it hard, but just guide the ball and let the pace take over. With Dev Tadani, there's no lack of pace.
Certainly, you redirect that wide of Jadiwala, it will fly.
A word of encouragement to Dev coming around from all the players. Oh, that is slapped away straight down the ground. No stopping this one. The great intent shown by young Manan Patel.
A nice use of the feet right there to get to the pitch of that one. Sensing perhaps the ball's coming in a little on the full side from Tadani, able to turn that into an authentic half volley. Beautiful drive through cover.
There's something about the batter going extravagant about that region of covers, isn't it? Just shows class, a touch of authority as well.
Yeah, the sound was nice to go along with that. Just so pleasing on the eye and the ear. Much like the products from Lakshmi House of Spices here, sponsors of the defending champion and trying to punch their ticket back to Morrisville, Silicon Valley Strikers.
Dev Tadani, how's he going to respond to that one? This is good to see from the batter. Now Manan has realized he wants to go to the accessible. Now he's decided to go with the leg stump guard because the long off fielder is as wide as possible.
Shoot that one through covers. Kulvinder Singh protecting in the deep. Has that sort of gentle protector look. Patel off strike, the surviving opener, Syed Saad Ali now to face off with the pace of Tadani.
Syed Saad Ali, we've talked about the importance of this man holding an innings together. He's doing it yet again. Very well played. But he's called for two. Two is not on because he's got a very strong arm. Bit of a misfield. But look at that bullet-like throw. That is exactly why they didn't run the second.
And may have even considered giving it a little bit of a start to give themselves a chance if there was a misfield. They had already hit the brakes by the time Simmons bobbled that. Syed Saad Ali so far seeing the ball pretty well off of Tadani. 2 boundaries in his first over against him. You could imagine why he might have wanted to get himself back down to the other end.
Absolutely, Joe. Very well called. To be very honest here, Dev Tadani's got to try and keep it wicket to wicket. Every time he's gone a little wider, they're taking him on. Just like this one. He's got the width on offer, even though there is protection in the deep. He was able to middle the ball so nicely. Felt not so troubled.
Yeah, doubting in game one. Drifting just a little bit. Do you see much motion in the air? I think you've got a slightly better view than I do.
Oh, yes.
So getting some swing, perhaps?
Yes. No, there is no swing from Dev Tadani. Straight strike with that single. Moves on to 28. It's 46 for 2.
My son, he's so soft-spoken. Oh, yeah! Everyone says he's so good-looking, and he never forgets to call.
Hi, Mom. Born for your true self. The 2022 Tundra. Toyota. Let's go places.
But gone 46 for 2. Just in case you've just joined us, the Silicon Valley Strikers won the toss and they decided to field first. This is the second of the best of 3 games. The first one was convincingly won by the men in blue, Silicon Valley Strikers. And Chicago Tigers, after being asked to bat with a cheeky single, have moved on to 47 for 2 in 7.1, Joe.
Yeah, so far, so good. This is roughly the spot where it started to go awry for them in game one. So looking to stitch this together. They know they're going to see a lot of spin. We mentioned before, Manan Patel, somebody who scores relatively freely against spin, at least in the last handful of games he's been involved in. And so far, looking pretty good, albeit largely against Tadani, a pair of...
Catch it is the call. Looks like it's going to be another simple catch to Lendl Simmons. It is. The bit of luck that Chicago Tigers require, that has run out. And Lendl Simmons is just taking simple catches, and they're just getting simpler and simpler as the game's progressing.
No, yet to be really troubled there. Perhaps a little bit of movement off the surface, and that one coming up on Patel a little bit slower than he was expecting. Ends up throwing the shot too early and pops it straight up back over his head to an eagerly awaiting Lendl Simmons, although able to take his time, waiting as that one came down out of the clear blue Morgan Hill sky.
Big wicket in the context of the game, just when the partnership was prospering. Silicon Valley Strikers were able to break it. As Joe was mentioning, this is the point where the slump started in the previous game. They would really want to believe that Chicago Tigers are not following the same script.
Well, and in an effort to avoid the same script, here comes the one person who was not part of the morning game, Karan Kumar, in at 5. Kumar, the Berkshire, England native. At least in the chances I've gotten to see him, a pretty big swinger, somebody who's generally batting a little bit earlier in the lineup. And so, as we said, that continued rejigger.
He scored tens and thousands of runs. Easily about 11,000 runs, if I'm not wrong, in Chicago region. In leagues across Chicago. This comes with a reputation of being a fantastic batter indeed. But again, the surfaces on offer there are completely different from the one that is over here. Can he give the examination here too? Can he prove to be the best? Chicago Tigers believe so.
Sounds like the man at long off, far more interested in that appeal than anybody closer to the stumps.
Very interesting, isn't it? I think long off fielder was calling for an appeal to the game that's going adjacently.
That may well be.
We've talked about that appeals and the decibel levels and the umpire needing to have his cool, have that calm, cool head. Gets a little dear. Oh, this is a very good delivery. Slow, loopy. What a way to end the over. The perfect spinner's delivery.
48 for 3, just 2 off of Pranay Suri's second over.
What's up, Doug? What got into you?
Fuel your best.
Spinner.
Bud, we up? And now spin from both ends. San Pedro end is going to see Srinivas Raghavan. 2 wickets and just 16 runs conceded from his 4 overs in game 1 today. So we said that is going to be the trick here as they look for a bit of movement, and particularly a partnership here in the middle overs. First delivery sprayed to Chand long off. Single to start for Kumar. Of note over here at what is now long off with the lefty coming up, Zahid Zakail, the substitute fielder, into the match.
Zahid Zakail has played a lot of cricket on this very ground, and emerged big game is missing out because of the team balance. There is protection in the deep to keep it down to a single. They've done their homework here. Oh, he wants the second run, and the second run will be possible now. Misfield. That should have been one any day.
And this time, too, the intent there right away to at least give it a look, see what's there. We saw the earlier opportunity where Simmons had a bobble in the field and they weren't able to take advantage. Every run going to matter from this point forward. Lefty on lefty, that one shot into the vacant mid-wicket area. Actually pulled maybe behind square, and they're going to go for another pair. Strong throw coming in from the deep from Kulvinder Singh, won't be in time.
Again, it's just rotating the strike beautifully. Running between the wickets has been excellent in this over. The proactiveness in the running has been one of the better aspects of the entire game. Will he push it through quicker this time around because the batter is expecting it to be slow? Yeah, slightly quicker, but that's in the air as well, just clearing the man inside the circle. It is a boundary nonetheless, but he was inviting the batter to take the additional risk if he wants to score.
He's showing you all the ways to have a high strike rate right now. Take the extra runs off of misfields, come out with intent to get the 2 right off the bat, shoot it through a gap or over a fielder in the circle, and give yourself the chance to saunter.
Owen Mukchand is off in a flash. He wants to stop the second run. Quickly reaches the ball and dispatches it too. He saved a single with great athleticism. Any other fielder.
back on July 3rd in Texas. Somebody who can generate that kind of highlight for you.
I think that's what the discussion will also be. I mean, we've done a lot of running in between the wickets in this over. Just pick and choose the fielders that you want to go to as well. Sometimes the second one might...
Saad Ali beginning to up the ante a little bit here, and does appear we might have an equipment issue. Somebody coming running out from the pavilion. I was about to say that as far as Saad Ali, his scoring rate pretty similar as of late between spin and pace, but the issue he has had recently, and this is where you get a little worried about the risk taking, is that in 4 of his last 5 outings, he's lost his wicket to spin. In fact, I believe now 5 out of 6, because I think he lost it to Surrey in the last game.
It's got to be a little more careful. But once again, if you just look at all his dismissed situation of the game or of having induced a false shot, sometimes as cricketers, it's important to not get drawn in to try and fix something which is not completely out of place. I think it's one of those things for Saad Ali. He starts to be mentally alert, saying, I've got to be better against spin. I've got to be better against spin. That is when more mistakes would come by, is what I believe. Joe, you might differ.
No, I think that's absolutely the idea. You want to be a little bit on the careful side, but don't come too far out of what you're trying to do. That's the thing about, you know, something as stochastic as a wicket, is that it is the sort of thing that just, you know, they happen. Right? You know, you do your best to try to avoid it. Sometimes a magic delivery, and that's it. And you tip your cap.
Yeah, and you also do not go in with the mindset that one of the deliveries will have your name written on it. Someone like the legendary VVS Lakshman used to say that the coaches will tell you to correct your elbow. The coaches will tell you to have your shoulder in the right place when you play that drive. Do have the shoulder and the elbow in the right place when you play that drive in the nets. But once you enter the match situation, don't think about it at all. Let it flow.
Singles on either side of a productive over. 9 from it for Saad Ali, 11 total, 59 for 3.
वक्त आ गया है लक्ष्मी बासमती राइस को घर लाने का। लक्ष्मी एक्स्ट्रा लॉन्ग बासमती राइस, इसका हर दाना हो इतना लंबा, पकते हुए महके और प्लेट पे क्या खूब खिले। हाँ, मेरे घर लाने का।
Pranay Surrey, number 12 wicket taker in all of minor league cricket, continues on from the Barrett Avenue end. Of course, that number 12 ranking, he's got 20 wickets. 11 of them came in 2 consecutive games. Just a ridiculous stretch he had in mid-July, and has continued to ride that momentum and has been back in the wickets the last single to start this one.
What I like about Karan Kumar and Syed Saad Ali's little partnership is the fact that they've been very busy. They've scored a lot of runs by converting the singles into twos, a lot of running between the wickets, and mind you, it's very, very hot compared to how it was in the morning game. So it is a test of fitness, temperament, but the goal is bigger than all the pains that one might have to go through. The goal is to keep the team alive in this tournament.
And to continue to go about trying to mount these runs than taking the really big hoiks, like perhaps that one.
Moving away and giving away the cards too quickly.
Well, we've seen that over the course of today, particularly from the 2 spinners, Surrey and Srinivas Raghavan, the ability to watch the batter and adjust to that late movement.
Struck really well. Long on is in place, who had to cover a lot of ground. Look at that throw from long on to the keeper.
That is a cannon from Zakil out there. You see why he would be your first choice off the bench as your emergency fielder. Get that arm into the attack out. Another one tapped back to Surrey. It's been a pretty clean over so far. One more from it. Looking to finish this one strong.
I tell you what, as far as the Tigers are concerned, they had Kushal Ganji before, who could play the anchor's role. Today, Saad Ali's got to play that role as well.
We'll continue to try to maintain that anchor. 62 for 3 after 3 runs off the 10th, halfway home.
1, 2, 3.
Chicago Tigers 62 for 3. At the halfway stage in the previous game, they were 63 for 5. This tells you that they've thrown the caution to the aggression. And they batted beautifully in this one. Despite losing 2 wickets, they've switched between gears nicely. And Saad Ali, we've talked about the fact that he's been a ticking time bomb. He can explode, score runs and canter. It's important for Saad Ali to continue to bat and be there till the end for Chicago Tigers.
In these middle overs here, he's usually good for 3 to 4 extra runs over an average batsman per innings. They're looking for more than that from him. Nice bit of relay fielding out here in the deep as Shehan Jayasuriya covered a lot of ground and then flips to Chand for the stronger throw in, limited to a single.
Yeah, that's another team effort. Seen these two bat together. Seen these two run together. Now we're watching them field together as well. One does the cleanup job, one gets the throw in.
Seems to be quite a connection even amongst the families as that one's shot through a gap. A lot of work for Kulvinder Singh, but he'll circle around it. Comes up with it, pushing for the second run. The throw is to the wicket-keeper's end, and that'll get by Jariwala.
It's good cricket all around, in fact. A good throw and a lovely shot. He's come back for the second run, no half measures. He always wanted 2 on it. That's been a better characteristic of this particular partnership between Karan Kumar and Syed Saad Ali. Karan getting a game in the second outing of Chicago Tigers today. And Saad Ali. That is crunched off the middle of the bat. That will fly away. If the fielder in the deep thought he was in business for even 1 second, boy, was he wrong.
Absolutely no half measures there for Karan Kumar. What a rip. You saw the premeditation right out of the gate. The quick step away to make himself a little bit of room. And then wham.
A great power. He's clobbered it. He got it from the middle of the bat and he just knew that it was going to fly away. Marginally shot there. Srinivas Raghavan just marginally shot and has to pay the price. Karan Kumar, strong as ever, confident as ever, moves to 8 of 10. In fact, more with that 6, was 8 of 10 before that 6.
Gets himself past the run a ball mark, which is what the Chicago Tigers are trying to elevate their rate above, 62 from the first 10 overs. About to say, though, this partnership between Jayasuriya and Chand extending to the families as well in the stands at the Morgan Hill Outdoor Sports Center.
And both of them are very involved in the working of this franchise as well, in different roles, of course. 11 overs gone, 74 for 4. 3, I beg your pardon. My bad.
Everyone says he's so good looking, and he never forgets to call.
Hi, Mom. Born for your true self. The 2022 Tundra. Toyota. Let's go places.
Rane Suri remains on from the Barrett Avenue end. Single off the first to Syed Saad Ali. Moves into the 40s here now, 42 off of 35 so far today.
Syed Saad Ali is going to be solid as a rock from one end. Try and bat as many deliveries as possible. Stay there for a longer time because he's got this knack of changing gears. And what he's also done by playing in innings of this kind where he's pushed for the singles and twos has reduced and hence has avoided a slump in this particular game so far.
Oh, absolutely. Certainly had concerns when Manan Patel went down after. Did he get it on the second try?
No, no.
No, did not. My goodness. Sarab Netravalkar out there in the deep, fighting that one in flight almost the same way he did the cotton bowl that he had earlier today. Unable to secure it.
He's come inside the circle. It's good to see from the captain. A half-hearted appeal there. We've talked about it so many times, Joe. The decibel levels will sort of give away if it's a good appeal or no.
Did not have the decibels that time for sure. Pranay Suri, this will be his final over of work. 2 wickets, and he's given up just 11 runs. Nearly had himself a 3rd wicket a moment ago. That one worked into the mid-wicket area. That'll be a single.
I've been very impressed with Rahul Chariwala's efforts behind the stumps as well, especially in the first game. Now, of course, he was hit. He was a little bruised, but continued. Anything for his side to see them home. And that could be close. It is gone. And there comes the big fish.
From his 4 overs. What an outing for him. Already coming off of a player of the match performance in game 1.
At times, don't let it turn at times. Let the batter be absorbed in the illusion of spin and get the outside edge. Good collect by Rahul Chariwala. A difficult take indeed.
End of the 12th over as well. 78 for 4.
At the end of 12, 78 for 4 Chicago Tigers as they've just lost
Here, which he's done a few times already this season, but taken out by the final ball from Pranay Suri, who, as we said, has just give way to Dev Thadani now from the San Pedro end.
wicket to wicket. That's been the secret for Dev.
A little bit more expensive so far in this match. He was 2 for 22 in game 1. That is number 22, run number 22, after just 15 balls, or correction, 13 balls bowled so far in this encounter. We're going to get our first look now at the striker's end at Calvin Savage. It's a short appearance, 10 runs from it in game 1. Somebody who now comes in a little bit more when he's accustomed to, getting near the death overs. Over number 13, first delivery to him, snared. Good quick hands from Unmukt Chand.
Gets into such a good position to dispatch the throw, and that sort of negates the run in itself. Dev Thadani is getting the support that he requires from the captain in terms of the field that he wants, and also in terms of the fielder that he wants him to be.
Right arm over the wicket and a swing and a miss from Savage as he tries to square up Thadani.
What a good delivery.
1 from the first 3 to wicket. Don't do anything too complicated. You've got the quality.
This is the first time that he kept it outside the wicket, but you could see that extravagant shot from Gavin, at least an attempt to do so. It does make contact this time around, but will be a single only. Shehan Jayasuriya is ready to get a throw in as well. Look at that throw just on top of the stumps. So much experience in the side of Silicon Valley strikers that they're doing the 1%ers right. And Calvin Savage would want to make note of that. Chicago Tigers weren't their 100% in the first game, and very blatantly was admitted by the captain. And he said, we promise you better cricket in this particular game. Despite losing 4 wickets in 12.2, they've done a really good job by displaying positive batting. Oh, what a delivery.
That looked like it had a little bit of motion off the surface too, and nearly picked up the outside edge.
Didn't bounce as much as well because he was leaning through the drive. And length is also such that he would have been better served, according to him, had he just gone through with the drive rather than pulling his bat. Wanted to be cheeky, watching outside off to guide it towards the leg side. Doesn't get it from any part of the bat whatsoever.
After 2 expensive overs to begin his outing today in game 2, Tadani just 2 off of that one, 80 for 4.
Dave, last over gave.
Change of ends for Srinath. Calvin Savage looking to have a little bit more of a say in this game than he had the opportunity to. Just bowled the 2 overs and got tattooed by Unmukt Chand in the last game. And of course, 10 runs before a LBW decision that he was, we'll just say, displeased about. All of that after missing the
Call for the second, but it's not on. We'll have to stick to a single. This is an important phase of the game also because Calvin Savage is not only playing himself in as he prepares and reassesses the situation to try and figure out what a good target on this track is. It's also an important phase of the game because they understand that there have been chinks in the armory for Chicago Tigers which have already been exposed in the first game. Now it's a time to mend it and prove a point to the opposition too. Calvin will run a ball 18.
As we've mentioned, it routinely looks like Silicon Valley are batting on a different track. Trying the switch hit is Calvin Savage this time.
Positively, the fielding effort was better in the first game from Silicon Valley Strikers, you would believe. A couple of catches, yes, have been taken. Barring that one catch from Kulvinder Singh, fielding has been a little sloppy. The pickups haven't been clean. What do you feel?
Now, certain times as much time logged in the field as Chicago do on this rather warm day. Admittedly, they got to do the beginning of that without it being particularly warm. But yeah, 20 overs and now another 14 under their belts, just 10 for Chicago in that first game. That's going to do it for the 14th. 4 from that over, 84 for 4.
What do you feel?
Tadani continues from the San Pedro end. Over number 15. That one is not quite going to carry to the captain inside the circle. Dot ball, though, to start, and Tadani continues some excellent work here in his second mini spell of the match.
Yeah, Tadani's having 2 different kinds of games in the first 2 overs, was very expensive.
This one, a nice 4-stump line. Chance, if it had been a direct hit, might have had Calvin Savage in some trouble, but Gary Graham unable to hit from there.
Calvin Savage is a tolerant.
Yeah, didn't look as decisive as some of the 2s that we've seen taken earlier, for example.
Absolutely.
Or Savage, along with the long strides, having the long arm to reach out for the crease line. That one stays down from Tadani. My goodness.
Calvin Savage has decided to bat with a lot of positivity, of course. In the bargain, he's also chancing his luck. That would have struck the off stick any other day.
Well, and Savage is somebody who's had to sort of work himself back into shape with the bat in minor league cricket. He had several months off between a broken hand, visa issues getting over here. Said he felt like a number 11. That's a little better looking. Not able to get it and does come away a little worse for the wear as he tried to sweep that toward the bails.
Tadani decided to put his hand out to try and take that missile from Lendl Simmons. Will pinch him. Didn't get it from the best part of the hand as well to keep it under control. That ricochet will be a lot more painful. He's given him the thumbs up as there was a small apology coming in from Lendl Simmons, who's, of course, did not aim to trouble his own bowler.
And look out here, Calvin Savage. Okay, perhaps needing a new bat. I thought I was detecting a little bit of.
Now, anything that'll make the ball fly away would be good enough. We've discussed what Dev Zadani has to do and keep it wicket to wicket. Because it went slightly outside off, you saw that because it was a natural variation of the ball keeping low, the ball didn't hit the stumps because it was outside off. Putting his feet up, watching the rest of the game. It's gone! The plan works! The plan works, and Calvin Savage's change of bat does not bring change in fortune. The captain will have to walk as the thinnest of edges would mean his demise has come.
Nearly the same delivery that yielded the swing and a miss moments prior. Ends up being the end of him this time around. Just could not square up Thadani. Had one good-looking knock back through the box that picked up that too, but otherwise was swinging at ghosts and finally picks up an edge, and that's all.
Chicago Tigers lose their skipper. And they'd be looking at Karan Kumar to provide that big finish, 87 for 5, with Calvin Savage back in the hut. Good collect by Rahul Jariwala.
And yet another dismissal for him. We've talked about him continuing to climb the boards and try to chase down Anthony Bramble. I'd have to take a look and see what the New Jersey Stallions did today and whether their wicketkeeper continued to rack up dismissals himself. That could be a fun little drag race down to the finish line. Might well see those two teams again in the final. Silicon Valley Strikers, of course, with a victory today here in Game 2, would punch their ticket. New Jersey Stallions also winners in Game 1 earlier today. We do have one team that's already made their way to Morrisville. The Atlanta Fire won Game 1, and Game 2 had to be abandoned. And that might not sound like it should be the end of it, but because they are the Southern Division champions, they would have the advantage in the case of a 1-1 tie, which means that even if the Manhattan Yorkers were to win tomorrow, it would not be enough to get them through to Morrisville. So that series done and dusted.
Just guiding it to third man region once again. A little sloppy. But no damage done. There was always a single to be taken.
What's up, Doug? What got into you?
At Sunoco, we know how to fuel peak performance. Fuel your best.
You're right. Now I'm thinking.
Srinivas Raghavan will continue from the Barrett Avenue end. Sami Sohail, the new batter, on strike. Got off the mark with a single on the final ball against Thadani. And a single to start this over against Raghavan as we are into the death overs.
It's been a good recovery from Chicago Tigers. If the comparison has to be drawn from the previous game, is it good enough? Is another question altogether on a track which is not very tricky. But Biscuit flew. What Biscuit flew? Would you believe the wind is picking up? And the snacks from the commentary box is definitely flying. Joe, I really thought you would catch it, though.
Yeah, that was a little bit out of my reach. A little too fine. Pair of singles to get this over underway. Just the fourth over Srinivas Raghavan has bowled in the death overs this season. Pretty good economy, though. He's been good pretty much wherever you put him. Giving up just 5, or an economy of 5 in those 3 overs.
Oh, yes, when you do that, the captain likes you too. Because you're saving him a lot of money for sure. And a lot of headache.
Case in point, 5th ball of the over. That one worked to the man at long off. Single for Karan Kumar.
Karan Kumar holds the keys to what can be called a crescendo finish, but for that he needs to get to a respectable total first, and that's what Kevin Savage back in the hut.
Now Savage, without doubt, one of the best in minor league cricket in batting at the death as the throws to the wicket keeper's end. Just the single for Sami Sohail off of that one, and Yeah, we don't want to start stories when Srinivas Raghavan is bowling because it's over way too quick immediately when he's out there. 5 from the over, 93 for 5. It'll be Kulvinder Singh from the San Pedro end. 17th over so far. The man they call Paji.
Yes. Oh, that is hit with a lot of might. Will travel the distance too. Timely aggression. Time to perfection.
This is something Sammy Sohail can do. He's been pretty good in these late game situations so far this season. The impact ratings from our good friend Tom Nielsen have him in the positives, so an above average contributor.
He's just invited Kulvinder Singh back. And he's done so with a lovely 6 indeed.
I'm not sure that was an invitation. It was a very rude greeting.
Wanted to be cheeky. That could have been more troublesome. If it's leaving Jariwala, you've got to give him the confidence and the benefit of doubt. He's been so good behind the wicket. The first one that sort of he couldn't tame.
Kulvinder Singh starting to travel a little bit here. That's a little unusual for him in the death overs. Normally a very economical bowler here. I say boulder.
Technically, you're right there too.
Having recollections of Angelo Pereira redirecting himself by bouncing off of Kulvinder Singh to turn around for a 2.
He's called the gentle giant, Kulvinder Singh. Speak to him, always has a smile on his face and always has a good story to tell.
Beloved figure in this team. That is guided wide of the man inside the circle, and it's too wide for the man, even at a wide long off to get to.
Third man region, eventually couldn't get there, the fielder. Such a beautiful shot indeed. Sammy Sohail has decided to choose the right deliveries now. Singh has gone for 14 already, out of which the second boundary wasn't as convincing as it came off the under edge and Jariwala unable to stop it, but this one was pure class. Singh provides the pace. And it was Sammy Sohail who provided the placement. On that occasion, Sammy Sohail a little itchy to get going with a beautiful pull shot. Just kicking himself that he couldn't get that one away.
Now he's pretty much depositing everything so far in this over from Singh. Kulvinder had gone for 21 in his first 2 overs combined. That one guided back towards fine leg.
Fine leg had come inside the circle before this delivery was bowled. And that took Sammy Sohail by surprise. He initially thought he had so much time to run that single. And suddenly realized the fielder is right there. It was dropped back.
Final delivery of an expensive over. That one off the bat and then the pads. That'll go for a single. Karan Kumar gets in on the act, but it's 16 from the over. Handful of boundaries for Sammy Sohail, 109 for 5.
Took that last corner.
Rewards. When you fuel, you save because rewards come first.
Back into the attack, coming at you from the Barrett Avenue end. Left arm round the wicket to the righty Karan Kumar, and that one's tapped to the onside. That'll be a quick single. Somebody who's said his dream 11 would include the likes of Glenn McGrath, Wasim Akram, Rahul Dravid, Zahir Khan, folks he's looked up to for a while. Do you see any evidence of that idolatry in the way that Saurabh goes about his business?
Zahir Khan, yes, with that lovely clean action. Easy on the eyes. Wasim Akram had a great wrist indeed. Just to hide the ball too, and he'd had a different grip altogether. The thumb used to be tucked in across the seam, not land on the ball, just on the side. That was very different, and it's very difficult to control the ball from that region, is what the greats tell us. But of course, if you're one of the greats yourself, probably that is when you can control the ball that way.
You figured something out. That one pushed to long off. Another single, thinking about a second, but it is a clean pickup out there. Sahel will scurry back as the throw comes in just over the bails. What a toss from is that Shahan Jayasuri out there? Wow.
Sami Sohail, 19 of 11, has looked good so far. Two beautiful boundaries and one very extravagant 6 indeed. Now up against Saurabh Netravalkar, who's decided to change the field and bring third man inside the circle and drop Kulwinder at deep backward square. And Kulwinder Singh is not at the edge of the boundary rope. He's at least 10 yards inside it, ready to run in case Sami Sohail decides to cater that area and come back for 2. He does, but he's also got it in the gap. Kulwinder gets around it. And that is exactly why Kulwinder Singh wasn't at the edge of the boundary rope, to try and stop the second run by being at least 10 yards inside.
And certainly taking those twos and that the aggressive.
Shot third man will drop back, and there's got to be a square leg in place. Kulwinder Singh will be present as a square leg fielder. This is good, prudent thinking by the men in blue. Silicon Valley Strikers, they're inside, depending on where they're fielding. If it's a long on and long off, they might be at the edge of the boundary rope. But if there's somewhere for the cross-batted stroke, for example, deep mid-wicket, it's not at the edge. Because the second run is so very easily possible with 2 good runners between the wickets.
Today in either of the games, that's a risk you can afford to take. A nice reward of cutting that total down maybe by 4 or 5 runs.
Absolutely, Joe. No ball signaled. That could be costly. Saurabh Netravalkar has stepped beyond what was required for him. The overstepping might cost him a little more, as this would be followed by a free hit. Leg by signaled. And free hit too.
Coming into today, I'm not sure whether they were wides or no balls because I grouped them together in my stats, but just 2 of them on the season. Here comes the free hit, final delivery of the over. And that is some bowling right there from Saurabh Netravalkar.
He had to brave a free hit too and still doesn't give away a boundary. Saurabh Netravalkar take about 3 overs, a maiden involved, a wicket of course in that first over with an unreal economy of 2.3 and 1 more over up his sleeve. 18 overs gone, 116 for 5.
वक्त आ गया है लक्ष्मी बासमती राइस को घर लाने का। लक्ष्मी एक्स्ट्रा लॉन्ग बासमती राइस, इसका हर दाना हो इतना लंबा, पकते हुए महके और प्लेट पे क्या खूब खिले। हाँ, मेरे घर लाने का।
Over, he has traveled so far today. But he's also been known to strike in these late phases, a strike rate of 8. That'll be a single to start. Good work out in the deep to limit it to just that.
Kulwinder Singh, he's all heart. Great skill. Execution has been off, especially in the second game today. And the batter would feel like he's missed out on a good opportunity there.
Yeah, straying down leg a little bit on that one, and Kulwinder has paid for that on a few occasions already today.
I'm a little concerned about Karan Kumar now because he had to get going. 27 of 29 is not good enough if you aren't shifting gears. Slapped it straight to the fielder. He's gone for that single. Now we'll get that single. Is a different question altogether. but the backup had to arrive from the deep, and that's what allowed that single to be taken eventually. But what a good throw it was while it lasted. Slight appeal to perhaps throw the umpire off his decision. White ball signaled.
And a concern from the fans near us that they thought maybe that
He's in a better position to judge by decibel levels too.
and certainly closer with the wind in our ears here to be able to hear a flick of a pad like that if it had actually happened. Again, straying down the leg side, and this time they'll look to take another extra run. Instead, that one got...
Kulvinder Singh has done well so far. Can he continue to trouble the batter? They're looking for the big boundaries. Now, low full tosses are difficult to hit. Times, Sami Sohail provides the good flourish they require to reach 120. Now 125 with that boundary.
They'll know as Sunny Bhatti still available in the shed. Even Deepchand Pinaka. A couple of batters who could do a little something in the final over. Maybe something that can liberate Kumar and Sohail to take some bigger rips in the final few balls.
Oh, wonderful swing. But Kulvinder Singh keeps it tight. A dot ball to end the over. 6 more deliveries left in Chicago Tigers' tank. 125 for 5.
1, 2, 3.
Saurabh Netravalkar will bowl the 20th. First delivery to Karan Kumar, lifted toward the deep. That's going to get down on a hop in front of Dev Thadani. A single to start.
130 is definitely on the cards as far as Chicago Tigers are concerned. They must be aiming for 140 and could be a good total in a decisive game like this.
Now going for 28 runs so far. Sohail 26 with a nice high 150-ish strike rate. Managed to add just shy of 40 runs for this 6th wicket.
As a slower delivery, slightly difficult to pick up. Gets that single and puts Kumar on strike. Kumar's been the slower of the two, as Sami Sohail's blasted off with 152.94 for a strike rate. Karan Kumar slightly slower, 87.1, 27 to 31 deliveries is goodish time for Karan Kumar.
And no real risk at this point. Not squandering much more of your innings if you do depart, so swing away. Here it comes, give himself some room. Manages to guide that, not quite wide of the man over there at cover.
It's very difficult to hit that ball away, especially when you've already committed to backing away. Because even if you get it in the gap, there is a second line of defense in a very wide long off. The plan has been clearly communicated to the fielders as well. Now the field change for...
There's a maximum so far for Sohail, looking for the crescendo. Steps forward, unable to make good solid contact. That might be a leg by off the shoulder.
Yes, that's how funny our game is. Sami Sohail looks all right. He's not giving it a good rub or trying to show the opponents that he's actually hurt, but that would have thudded into the fleshy part of his body.
We'll have about 10 or 15 minutes to get right before he comes in. They usually wait until the middle overs to bowl him, so a little time to recover from that impact.
I think that's hit him higher in the arm, isn't it?
Slower delivery from Netravalkar, and Kumar just barely able to keep that from ending up on his stumps. Tapped to third man, and another single. This has been excellent from Netravalkar, avoiding the crescendo finish, just 5 singles.
Yes, he's decided not to bowl wicket-taking deliveries, but to bowl deliveries which will keep it tight and avoid the boundaries. He's gone for damage control, and it's worked beautifully over here. Chicago Tigers, a must-win game, 129 at the moment for them. With that single 130 on the board. They've fired well so far for his 3 boundaries and a 6 is raced on to 27 to just 19. Can he get some momentum by hitting this one away to the fence? Does this have an appointment with the boundary rope and beyond? He's launched it in the air. Fielder in the deep. Will he be in business? Not so much. It'll travel. 6 to finish the innings. Chicago Tigers get the crescendo finish they were looking for. 136 is all they've got. 137 required for the men in blue to advance in this tournament. Or will Chicago Tigers ensure that 136 proves to be a plenty by taking wickets at the regular intervals?
Well, they'll certainly need to get a few more early incursions into the Silicon Valley lineup if they want to make that happen than they did in the first match, as we saw Silicon Valley put up 100 runs once. So we will look forward to that in about 10 minutes' time. The response from the Silicon Valley Strikers, the defending champions, in search of 137 to get a chance to defend it at the home of American cricket over in Morrisville. We'll be right back with that.
Defended to stay alive in this tournament. First ball didn't bounce as much, and it's not like he reached out through and through. It's a little half-hearted, just inspecting the toe end of the bat. I'm Aswatham, joined by Joe Hickey. Joe, how excited are you to cover this one? It's not going to change or deteriorate. Oh wow, that is a lot of intent. Inside out, launches it into the sky and will travel the distance. It's not someone who's going to play the unorthodox strokes. He's going to do something which is going to be gifting a catch. He's gifted a catch to Lendl Simmons. The Silicon Valley Strikers, which anyway is a star-studded side. That is put away, beautifully put away. Didn't try to hit it hard, and that is the secret. He's just shown it the way. Go explore the city. I think it's for accuracy here. And it's also because he wants to take the pace off. It's driven so wonderfully. The outfield is a batter's best friend at the moment. Will not stop. Will have enough Sunoco.
It brought about the beginning of the collapse when these two teams met back in July.
I tell you what. Backing away, creating room. This is a statement sent to the opposition. Saad Ali is here to stay. And he'll make wide long off. And mid-on will come into the circle. That's a good delivery.
Gone!
That's a good delivery. It's hit Jariwala and then hit
that
the
what we
stump.
got? Okay, my mistake. We have seen some that have been positively marginal. That one in the air and snagged by Kulvinder Singh, who continues a fantastic week. Dating back to Sunday and...
What do you make of the rejigging of the batting order? That was in the air for a brief moment, but it's also hit very finely. Now the fielding will also involve football skills.
Hey, against the spin attack, but right now it's the pace coming from the San Pedro end, and Dadani is going to be giving up potentially a boundary there. A nice attempt by Dianarayan.
Oh, that is slapped away straight down the ground. No stopping this one. Looks like it's going to be another simple catch to Lendl Simmons. It is. Will he push it through quicker this time around because the batter is expecting it to be slow? Yeah, slightly quicker, but that's in the air as well, just clearing the man inside the circle. Chicago Tigers today. And Saad Ali. That is crunched off the middle of the bat. That will fly.
There. And another one possibly. No, that's in the air, going to hang and dropped. Did he get it on the second try?
No.
No, did not.
Anything for his side to see them home. And that could be close. It is gone. And there comes the big fish.
Right arm over the wicket and a swing and a miss from Savage as he tries to square up Dadani.
What a good delivery.
One from the first three.
Really good job by displaying. And the plan worked.
Paji.
Yes. Oh, that is hit with a lot of might. Will travel the distance too. Wanted to be cheeky. That could have been more troublesome. If it's leaving Jariwala, you've got to give him the confidence and the benefit of doubt. Him always has a smile on his face and always has a good story to tell.
Beloved figure in this team. That is guided wide of the man inside the circle, and it's too wide for the man.
And he continued to trouble the batter. They're looking for the big boundaries. Now, low full tosses are difficult to hit away, but he's found the gap on the... During these times, Sami Sohail does this have an appointment with the boundary rope and beyond? He's launched it in the air. Fielder in the deep. Will he be in business? Not so much. It'll travel. 6 to finish the innings. Chicago Tigers get the crescendo finish they were looking for. 136 is all they've got. 137 required for the men in blue to advance in this tournament. Or will Chicago Tigers ensure that 136 proves to be a plenty by taking wickets at the regular intervals?
Well, they'll certainly need to get a few more.
You're watching the Toyota Minor League Cricket Championship, presented by Sunoco. Toyota Minor League Cricket Championship, presented by Sunoco.
Yeah, I'm back. 137, the mission for the Silicon Valley Strikers here to progress to 2022. Bit of a change from what we saw in the first match today when Calvin Savage, the captain, took the ball to begin the second innings, this time giving it to Aletti, who has been a power play mastermind for Chicago Tigers, has actually bowled nearly half their power play overs on the season. He'll get started with Lendl Simmons at the strikers end, of course the captain Unmuk Chan at the non-strikers end, joined by a good buddy, Suhas Vedam. Suhas, what are you expecting out of Silicon Valley? What kind of approach can we expect here? Chasing a bit more imposing of a target, nothing that's outside their capabilities, but a bit more than what we saw in Game 1.
Thank you very much for the warm invite, Joe, and very warm welcome to everyone watching as well. I believe that this could be a good total. Again, all depends on how the first 6 overs pan out. This is not very imposing, as you very rightly put, but to be very honest, it's a little trickier surface. It's keeping low at times. Diminish, especially in the first 6 overs. He's tried his best to keep it in play, and he's done an excellent job in the end to stop a certain boundary. Remember, when Lendl Simmons hits it, he usually stays hit.
That looked like he had found the gap on the Ranadip Aletti slow ball. No such luck, though. Good work by Saad Ali at the boundary rope. That will keep Simmons on strike, though, with 2 from that. The protection in the deep is in front of and to the on side. Both of them not worrying about any of the rest of the field, just mid-wicket and long on, so he'll poke this over to the offside. Nothing doing, though. Dot ball for Aletti. I'm not sure I've ever seen that field in a power play.
I was more concerned about that little kid trotting in front of the side screen. Just in time was pulled away by its mother. Just in time. Oh, good delivery. Good delivery. He's curtailed the options for a batter of Lendl Simmons' kind.
Aletti, generally speaking, as we talked about, has some deceptive pace. Doesn't use it a ton, but when he does, it feels like it's coming out of his hand a lot faster just because of the patience he has with continuing to run that slower ball up there.
Excellently called, and along with it, the way he was used by the catchers is something which is a great cue for all the other franchises to use him as well. And Calvin Savage, since he's batted and played so much against and with Aletti, he knows exactly how to use him. On that occasion, a poor delivery.
I'm hoping Sonny Bhatti keeps that cap that he has in his back pocket or tucked into the waistband a little bit more secure, because the little flash of orange got me excited for a second. I'm here on the final ball of the first over. We've mentioned here, Silicon Valley Strikers, not a team that tends to start like gangbusters in the power this season inside the power play against the Tigers. Aletti, a big part of that.
Very cautious this time around, Unmuk Chand. Very watchful, as the surface has played a few tricks while he was the fielding side's skipper.
3 runs for Simmons and a wide, 4 for no loss after 1.
My son, he's so soft-spoken. Oh, yeah! Everyone says he's so good-looking, and he never forgets to call.
Hi, Mom. Born for your true self. The 2022 Tundra, Toyota.
It'll be
4 for no loss after the first over. And I'll tell you what, Joe, one place where Silicon Valley strikers have not been tested usually is the opening pair not performing. So that puts the pressure on Silicon Valley strikers if they get into a zone where they haven't been before. Such is the importance of an early wicket here for Calvin Savage and co.
Well, and in many cases, it really takes 2 to start to eat in. Because even when Chand has gone early, those have been frequently the games where Jayasuriya has gone for massive scores and stayed in there for 40 or 50 deliveries. So it's even tougher than that. The opening partnership, obviously big, but it's that.
Needed a bit more luck, or perhaps had to be a few yards behind to try and curb the angle on it.
So far, a better start, albeit 2 balls in for Calvin Savage. Number 5 in overall impact between his work with the ball and the bat. That one's going to drift down the leg side, though. And we mentioned up a decent number of wides, usually pretty tight with his line, but the odd one gets away from him.
Calvin's 4 overs would be very, very crucial. We were usually waiting to check if the time zone factor of having flown in yesterday from Chicago would sort of play with the minds of the players, or will they be 100% even despite that? But they were 100% indeed, but not in terms of the cricket that they performed. So that wasn't really an issue. The reason I brought it up right now is because Calvin Savage, someone who's a no-nonsense man. He tells you that we do not talk of excuses. That's not in our dictionary. We just look for the results. For someone like him to deplete the total or cushion with a wide delivery like that early on doesn't seem good. He needs to bowl in the right areas, much like this one. That one generated. Should Bhatti have been slightly in front? And just trusting that it generated the edge by the reactions of it, not because we have a stump mic here. Opportunity nonetheless.
It certainly takes some bravery to creep up any closer to the stumps with the sort of pace that Savage is capable of generating. Someone who says that some of his work with the Cape Cobras franchise in South Africa alongside Vernon Philander, big part of him learning about his bowling mechanics and serving him very well, especially as he comes to minor league cricket, where you're mostly training on your own in terms of trying to work on those mechanics. He says absolutely invaluable experience with Philander.
Calvin Savage, of course, brings the South African flavor by being one of the biggest pranksters, along with Ackerman,
who he encouraged to come along. 2 runs off the bat, 7 for no loss through 2.
What's up, Doug?
Fuel your best.
with the keeper standing up so that the batter has to negotiate the swing, cannot dance it off. Down the track, no. So he cannot come down the track. He's got to face the swing, and so far Aleti is doing a good job. He's being told by the umpire to be away from the danger area. And we've talked about Calvin being a no-nonsense man.
Yeah, his general feeling about this team is that he and his teammates have expected, and he's very proud just of the next man up sort of mentality they've had. He doesn't feel like they really have a top 10 batter necessarily. They certainly have a top 10 bowler in himself, but just the number of folks he feels are in that sort of 10 to 25 range kind of makes them a tough out.
As far as Aleti is concerned, he's keeping it wicket to wicket, and not on that occasion, but that's within the wide lines as well. bounced a little bit more for Bhatti's liking, but his hands were in the right position. It was such a treat to watch. It's a very difficult collect, but made it look so simple.
All right, we've talked a little bit about the deceptive pace when he does decide to go pace on, the sort of thing that can surprise a batter. You got to watch out for that as a wicketkeeper, too.
That is what will create the top edges as a batter. And gets so close to the stance, but that is flying away. That's nowhere close. That's into the parking lot. It's one of those shots which you just pray that you have the right kind of insurance.
All of us turning confused because a car alarm happened to be onside.
It's one of those moments where the crowd is cheering for the six and soon realizing where have they parked their car. Yeah, that was cleanly struck and it wasn't very short as well. It's a break-free shot and it's just the power of this man that he carries in his torso. Stand and deliver.
Yeah, the length not bad. Drifted a bit down leg, which I think gave him a bit more freedom there. No concern about an LBW, so you can throw everything behind that.
Catch it is a call. Does carry as well, but it's spilled. An opportunity grasped could be the difference. We're waiting for the umpire signal as well. He's got something to say to the bowler. He's got to be careful of not entering the danger zone. It's the second time the umpire. It is a no ball indeed. Had that catch been taken, wouldn't have mattered. It is going to be followed by a free hit.
Which on some level will be a relief for Mitansh, because nothing he could have done in that situation. Oh boy, not the guy you want to give a free hit to. Already seen what he can do. Look out, Cars.
Cars would be in trouble once again as this one lands in the parking lot too. The sixes are getting bigger and bigger. The Stand and Deliver has a new book as a sequel. This is pure entertainment. This is T20 cricket at its best. You cannot curtail this man, especially if you bowl even slightly.
Our producer, Bud Jadabans, that was what he was calling for in between overs. And
this one goes straight to Calvin. Calvin will have some thinking to do with his prime bowlers being belted outside the park. Aleti will have a small conversation with the umpire, just out of curiosity. End of the over. 3 overs gone. 21 for no loss.
Took that last corner pretty quick.
Sir, I need one hand on the roof, one hand on the pump.
Timeout for Sunoco Go Rewards.
You save because rewards come first.
Played away. Third man Finch will pick up a single there as Rana Aleti is good enough to ensure that the throw is back in time. Lendl Simmons. He's got the power, he's got the game, he's got the skill as well to go big. Calvin Savage has his task cut out. If he can pick up a wicket over here with a change in pace and being it slow, bowling a slower delivery, long way indeed. You see how cautiously he stabbed this one away, as he believes there'll be better deliveries to score off. The last game, Lendl Simmons was unbeaten with his terrific half-century as 52 of just 25 balls. 5 boundaries and 4 maximums. Just continuing from where he left off in the previous game. Lendl Simmons. Slightly in the middle and off region is what I feel, because that's where the ball is popping up suddenly. You can generate that edge. You can trouble the batter.
yeah, it's been skidding on a bit when you get more towards the leg side, but it's been struggling to actually hit the target there. That was a nice delivery on that one, but has had a handful of them end up well down leg and can't afford free runs defending just a little over a run a ball.
Absolutely true, Joe. I think he's going to go inside out because he loves to do that now. In fact, he's defended it right under his eyes. You could see the approach is so different from the first game for Silicon Valley strikers because they realized the study of the target by a big margin. And that sort of allowed the freedom to express from the man at the other end at the moment. You don't see this often. This is straight to the field. So batting a little slow because Lendl Simmons is allowing him to do so with his quick fire 17.
Just a mouth-watering battle here. Savage, somebody who can wait till the last moment to adjust line or length if Chand moves. Chand, who's someone who loves to bat with the ball right under. Wins this battle, though, another fantastic ball to finish the over.
It's been a while since you've seen string of dot balls against Unmukh.
लक्ष्मी एक्स्ट्रा लॉन्ग बासमती राइस, इसका हर दाना हो इतना लंबा, पकते हुए महके और प्लेट पे क्या खूब खिले।
हाँ, तेरे घर लाने का।
Go for it.
Fifth over and a change of bowling as it'll be Deepchand Pinaka coming from the San Pedro end. It's surprising, both of these matches, unlike most of the last 5 or 6 matches Chicago have played, only using Aleti for 2 overs in the power play. Generally speaking, they've had him bowl 3, sometimes takes his 4th right there in the 7th or 8th over. Somebody who they like to use up quick and get the best out of him early.
This is a very bold move indeed. Pinaka for the first time from the commentary box end. I wonder what the plan is here. If Pinaka can deliver that perfect Yorker, then it's game on. Fuller.
There it is, straight down the ground as predicted. Just a single though, well positioned Saad Ali.
Saad Ali is one of the better fielders as well, no matter where you put him on the field.
A very sure hand, someone who very frequently in the catches, especially in big games. If I recall correctly, had 3 snags in the field in the match against the Dallas Mustangs. One of the big wins that announced the presence of the Chicago Tigers after a bit of a rough weekend facing off against Western Division opposition. Came right out of that, toughened up and knocked off a, what was it that?
Get hold of it on Mukchand. Just marginally shot there. You could just see him that he's looking at his bat for a bit, and now we'll practice that shot as well. Should have played it straight down the ground, he feels. With a straighter bat, perhaps, if not down the ground straight. Lendl Simmons, who's marching to his own drum beats. That backlift is as huge as it can get, and the ball stays hit when he gets it from the middle of the bat. It doesn't deserve to be on the ground. Deepchand Pinaka knows that. Can he deliver the perfect slower delivery as well? His ball is slightly shorter, but it slapped straight down the ground. 1 bounce into the fence. That was pure power. He's slicing the ball, slapping the ball. There are 2 ways of dealing with this cricket ball, but at the moment, Lendl Simmons believes leather shouldn't be on that sphere.
Now a 4 to go along with the 2 maximums that he had off of Aleti. Maybe the decision to bowl Pinaka at this point, something in response to Simmons having his way with Aleti in the last over, but more of the same.
Oh, that will go through as well. A bit of luck for Simmons. Deepchand Pinaka cannot believe it. There's only so much that Bhatti could do as well. The ball sneaks through for 4-2, back-to-back boundaries, and in contrasting styles.
One with authority and one with just the slightest of touches to use Pinaka's pace against him. But Jadaban's over here enjoying this. And just so we're clear, no favoritism played toward one team or the other. He just anybody West.
It's the edge. It's gone through again. What are the chances? What are the chances? A cat has 9 lives. Would be very interesting to see how many Lendl Simmons has today.
Well, he's lucky he doesn't have 4 stumps because that was not far away from the leg stump there. Little edge cutting right through in between his legs and the timber.
Would you believe it? Bhatti just about recovered from the previous dive, and here it goes once again. Quicker this time. Pinaka getting it right, but that luck factor clear him with a sense of ease.
That's confidence there. You got to believe in your own power to be able to do that.
That's gone only high. This should be taken. This should be catch practice. Two men coming underneath. It puts it down. The opportunity was created. Deep Chand Pinaka doesn't want to look at his fielders anymore.
The swirling Prithvish in the vicinity, and Patel the one who did finally get just about under it, but looked like there was some miscommunication between the two of them. Unsure who was going to call for it at first, and
1, 2, 3.
Was gone. But yeah, 5 overs gone, 38 for no loss. We were just waiting for that top edge. It was almost see that the bowler was trying to reduce the pace to induce that fall shot. When the opportunity was created, the ball was swerving in the air. Two fielders looking at each other, and the ball falling in no man's land. This was a big, big miss indeed. And how much is Lendl Simmons going to make them pay, Joe?
well, you mentioned before, 9 lives potentially here for Simmons, and he has certainly enjoyed his work so far in minor league cricket.
Would you believe it? 2 inside edges that go for 4. 1 top edge, and he's still out there. Will make them pay with that sledgehammer of his that he likes to call a bat. When he hits it, there's so much dust. He's applied a lot of bottom hand to it. The gloves have come off right away. Lendl Simmons. But there are no words such as gentle in his dictionary.
First and only over, as he has done now in 7 of his 14 matches.
I tell you what, Lendl Simmons is a big hitter. We understand that. But because of the batting lineup to follow, I believe that the management has given him the license to express himself they're chasing. That, in turn, is translating into the way Unmukh Chand is batting and approaching this innings, because he is quieter of the two at the moment. He's not going after the bowling. He's quite content facing those singles.
Either. He's got a 135 strike rate on the season, but 118 inside the power play.
A clean pickup could have been a different story, could have been half an opportunity, if not completely, because he wasn't dragging the bat there, Lendl. Calvin Savage has got to figure out how to pick up a wicket. Who should I throw it to? He's just asking this question 10,000 times in his mind, because the opportunities are being created but not pouched. Now, Unmukh Chand has been the quieter of the two. We mentioned that, Joe. And for the right reasons. Would he also start to bloom now that he realizes that he's well set?
Well, and he'll be facing the man here that took his wicket in the first match earlier today.
Slight change in field here from Calvin. He wants to strengthen the offside field. One more brick added to the wall on the offside. That leaves the leg side open. Wide vacant spaces. Anything through mid-wicket is destined to go for 4, even if you get it from the worst part of the bat. But you're able to club it to some extent. So you can't be bowling short. Ideal line would be slightly outside off as well, or on the wickets on the off, but not leg stump.
And certainly here with Semi Aslam's Golden State Grizzlies no longer in action, Unmukh Chand may be the most classy exponent of the cut shot left in the tournament now.
This one kept a little low. Unmukh Chand was up for the task. He's bowled it too quickly as well, Sami. You could see no hurry in Silicon Valley strikers, and that is something that Calvin Savage would have to keep in mind as well. He's got to ruffle. Can't let this calmness permeate into the opposition dugout.
Now, thus far, this power play even a little bit slow by Silicon Valley standards. But no wickets down, and that's going to be the important part here going forward. A single for Chand.
Wickets, where are they? That's the question on every Tiger fan's mind. Chicago Tigers, they bowled well, especially Pinaka. But the stats will tell.
Simmons.
They need a bit of luck as well here. The Tigers miss field. The misfield will mean a single. A single would mean the cushion is getting depleted. Chicago Tigers need to get their act together. It's still not too far into this game. Power play restrictions would now be lifted. 41 for no loss. 41.
Over without the fielding restrictions. Dipchan Pinaka will be continuing from the San Pedro end, looking to exert his will and hopefully get some reward for it. The wind has calmed down, so if you can get one to pop up, maybe it'll be a bit easier of a take.
Where's that slower delivery as well? Is he saving it for the end of the over? It was perfect from his bowling according to the field. That was indeed perfect.
Well, a 41 for no loss in the power play has stationed Silicon Valley 7 runs ahead, as well as 2 more wickets in hand than Chicago had at that point. They were 34 for 2 at the end of 6.
You could see Calvin Savage ensuring that he gets the buzz around. The fielders kept right on their toes. Dipchan Pinaka. Good delivery. Wasn't very far away from the sledgehammer of Lendl Simmons.
Great length on that one. Decent bit of bounce as well.
Can Pinaka be the man to generate the opportunity once again? That'll be the first time Chicago Tigers would get the better of Lendl Simmons if they do. In not Calvin Savage has dropped back to be a very wide long off. Dipchan Pinaka is going to attempt a slightly 3/4 of a length kind of a delivery. No, in fact, he's pushed it up. He's pitched it up. It's got at least 2 written over it.
So far, the bowling attack doing a pretty decent job of holding the Silicon Valley strikers in check. Haven't really had the incisive balls to try to take wickets, with the exception of the one that Pinaka, chance that he generated. Ball anyhow. They aren't letting this one get away quite the way they did early in the second innings of Game 1.
Hard hands, but Pinaka was up for the task. He was also trying to recover and get the throw in. So much drama, but
learn from him. He's got a series of videos as well on YouTube, looking at training sessions and so forth. So get on that.
He's been a great servant to the game, especially in the Chicago region. Dipchan Pinaka, we've talked about that 50 of 22 off late. Now he has to translate that confidence from batting into bowling as well. 50 of 22 in another tournament. But of course, during the minor league, enough to draft him in the side. Big delivery. This is a big delivery indeed. There was something on it. It's gone. The umpire took a bit of time to raise the dreaded finger, but Pinaka's roar sums it up nicely.
Easier to sense than the finger of the umpire, which is a little bit shielded from us here in the comms. We were looking for it, though. Had a couple of opportunities to get the breakthrough. A few balls that just barely flew by the stumps. The one pop-up from Lendl Simmons this time around gets his man. The opening partnership broken for 43 runs. But of course, as we've said, it only gets a little tougher after that. Shahan Jayasuriya, the league leader in runs scored. The league leader in fours hit. Top 10.
His orders were heard by every single teammate of his, as he believes that this side can pull off miracles. And he used the word, he used the sentence, he said, it's not by luck that we are here, mind you. we've also played really good cricket in those 14 games. What this unit, when put together, can do. Today, they picked up the big wicket. Can they continue by picking up another? Up against Deep Chand Pinaka, who's generated another opportunity. That shall be Shehan Jayasuriya.
And as we've said here, this is a team in Chicago that have knocked off Dallas. No one else had done that until just this past weekend when Michigan made things interesting. They put up a good fight against Silicon Valley the first time they faced off. That 40-run margin of victory by no means doing justice to how close that game was up. They're just looking for that extra gear, and this time not chasing, not having to look up at a gigantic total, but instead looking to defend, something they've done well this season.
Silicon Valley Strikers, they haven't run away with the game, mind you. Oh, that's a good stop. Calvin Savage wanted to be the second line of defense, but the ricochet was slightly away from him. Not that the second run was cost. Because of that, they were quite content with a single, the men in blue. A single to end the over as well, 44 for 1.
My son, he's so soft-spoken. Oh, yeah. To call.
Hi, Mom. Born for your true self. The 2022 Tundra. Toyota. Let's go places.
The Toyota Minor League Cricket Championship presented by Sunoco. The Silicon Valley Strikers chasing 137, or at the moment 44 for 1 in 7 overs. They've just lost Lendl Simmons after a flying. Jayasuriya will join Captain Unmukhchand to the middle. Captain Unmukhchand, 55 of 14. Shehan Jayasuriya has walked out and picked up a single meanwhile. And 2022 Toyota Minor League Cricket Championship has been an absolute treat to cover from all parts of this wonderful country.
And getting towards the business end, very soon all eyes will be on Morrisville. Right now, eyes on Morgan. Taken, Shehan Jayasuriya, gone in single figures for the third time in 4 matches.
He's looking at the bat in dismay. He's looking at the bat and talking to it, saying, "You have put me down." He didn't get it from the meat of the bat, but the toe end. And the ball can only travel so far when it's coming from the toe end. A simple catch at the end. And Calvin Savage and boys would believe now that Shehan Jayasuriya is back in the hut as well. More pressure on Silicon Valley Strikers. Is this the moment? Is this the moment that Shehan Jayasuriya was dreading so much? Trying to go for a big shot early on in the innings and not prospering.
In the meanwhile, here the move of Calvin Savage introducing spin from the Barrett Avenue end. Karan Kumar, 1 ball, 1 wicket, and it is a big fish. Chand and Jayasuriya have batted teams into submission on many occasions this season. They still have the record for the highest scoring partnership in minor league cricket this year. 161 they put up against the San Diego Surf Riders together. And what we're going to see in his place now, easy enough to forget because it's going to be his first time at the crease all season. Yet another arrow in the quiver for the Strikers, Narsingh Deonarayan.
Narsingh Deonarayan, a name that doesn't require any introduction. He was terrific. Last time he was in the same colors as well. But now in this season, gets an opportunity to bat with the captain to try and take his team home. If they do, they get Sunday off. The second wicket of that kind would give them a boost indeed.
His last outing in minor league cricket, a monster knock, 52 not out, to earn player of the match honors in the minor league cricket inaugural championship match.
So he has lovely memories of Morrisville and want to be there, and here's a chance to put his team there.
And last season, a much bigger part of the lineup throughout the season. 27 the average, 122 the strike rate. Somebody with all years in the CPL, which gets going as well in the next couple of weekends. 4-month cricket party down there.
Off the mark.
In the game and in 2022.
Unmukhchand has got to change gears now, I really believe. By change gears, I do not mean he starts to hit, but to change gears into the running between the wickets. mode because the field is nicely spread. And yeah, that's what he does. Just places it in the gap and picks up to. You could see that he was starting off a little late. Oh, that's just close, they believe. That's close, they believe. The Tigers believe that's close. The Tigers might be on the prowl for the third wicket. The man who matters is the umpire, and he says nothing doing. Narsingh Deonarayan has made it time.
Yeah, it looked to me like the signal from Calvin Savage was that perhaps Deonarayan had lost control of his bat and not grounded it behind the line at that moment. That seems to be what he's signaling over there, looking maybe at a divot.
Unmukt Chand has decided to push for the second run, and the hallmark of that second run is that he deliberately started off a little late because he knew that the throw would be at the non-striker's end, but he wanted to change the thrower's mind to make it at the striker's because he knew that he's the faster of the two. These are the little mind games that you play. And with that dot delivery, good over comes to an end. A very successful over comes to an end for Chicago.
On this end too.
Let's have a game. Huh? Have a game. Telling you. Narsingh Deonarayan, the swashbuckling left-hander, would face, and he'd face pace for the first time. Ryan, I just love the way he's molded himself to this format of the game too. He's been a stalwart in the other formats of the game, the longer format of the game and the longest. But the way he's come out to bat in this format of the game too in the previous season was such a breath of fresh air.
And he certainly seems to adjust his approach when necessary. If you need some more runs right now.
With the umpires now.
A little bit of a surprise, seeing as how he is staring directly into it, but maybe Sahal's ball not coming from within it. There's an edge down to third man. That'll be fine of Karan Kumar, and run to the boundary for 4.
So classy, so wristy, just helping it along its way. Won't be surprised if the third man's move touch finer. He was very, very square on that before this delivery began as well. Reason being, if he's going to keep bowling in that line, it gets easier for the batter to just open the face of the bat. Ball will trickle away. It's a lovely outfield here at Morgan Hill.
That lovely, classy shot breaks a string of 22 deliveries without a boundary for the Silicon Valley Strikers, dating back to those 3 graced by the gods boundaries against Pinaka. That one straight to the fielder, drifting ever so slightly to his left is Mark Sackerman, and that'll be a dot ball. Looking for a few more of these dots, looking to build some pressure as the 50 has just come up for Silicon Valley Strikers off the Deonarayan 4. At run rate required, edging its way over 7. Nicely driven toward the covers, and it's a misfield out there. That's going to allow another run to score, but it does not reach the boundary.
Not afford to be sloppy here. Chicago Tigers, it happens once in a while. They're going to make sure that it's minimal. You could see Sami is not happy because he wanted to bowl to Unmukt Chand, the big fish.
Taken his wicket once already today.
That's also because he has certain plans that he wants to execute and is getting a little itchy. It's also important that they do not give away the easy single to someone like Deonarayan, who anyways is looking to just nurdle it around and play the second fiddle to the captain Unmukt Chand. When Deonarayan walked in, I really thought Unmukt Chand will change gears and now will go for the big shots rather than playing the anchor's role. And Deonarayan, in between overs, that talk suggested that little opening of the bat, and it traveled for 4. This could be close, is what the umpire... No, the umpire is still. It's only the bowler who believed. The keeper also went up in tandem. No bat involved, and that means Leo Narayan stays, and it's a big moment in the game.
What's up, Doug? What got into you?
At Sunoco, we know how to fuel peak performance. Fuel your best.
Take him outside his comfort zone. Put that thought of him dancing down the track and then try and pick up his wicket. Unmuk decides to stay put. These are two important dot balls strung together.
As we said, pressure starting to mount a little bit. That Narayan boundary in the last over, the only one that we've seen for a good 5 overs now. That one tapped to the vacant mid-wicket area. They'll take a single. Narayan will come back on strike against the spinner.
Narayan faced a lot of spin. Just love the way he plays the straight batted stroke as well. With the spinners, something that I sometimes wonder if you could be a fielder at point, or with our Sunoco umpire camps, if we can have a shot at that as well. Clear at the bat, it's coming through when it's played straight like that.
Yeah, get a good look at the sticker. That's good for endorsement deals, right?
Absolutely true. Slightly higher. Bounce a little bit more. Unmuk Chand is getting it straight to the fielder at point.
Yeah, with the width on offer, continuing to look to try to exploit that boundary. Just one man in the deep out there at extra cover, and you figure if he can sneak it by somebody at point or make it a nice long run.
Just loving this from Karan Kumar. This was perhaps the worst delivery, but he had earned himself this delivery by bowling fantastically before this for 5 balls straight. Just single to end the over.
57 for 2, halfway home.
इतना लंबा, पकते हुए महके और प्लेट पे क्या खूब खिले।
हाँ, मेरे घर लाने का।
Inching towards 8 with 8 wickets in hand. Gary Graham to come.
Still, of course, Pranay Surrey as well available, who has been in great form with the bat in hand for the last couple of weeks.
The Silicon Valley strikers still have an advantage. Sami's got to pick up 1 but 2 wickets to rattle some fields, rattle the stumps, and to ruffle some feathers. Is Sami up for the task? Third man inside the circle. Third man inside the circle and finally inside. Somewhere in the middle. So what the field is, I think he's inviting Unmuk Chand to play that shot that he usually tries to play, the lap shot behind him. But the pitch is not offering that much bounce for him to try it safely on this occasion. If he misses it, that timber could be disturbed. And on top of it, I think the franchise would be even more disturbed. Well, that'll be 4. That is exactly why we were talking about fine leg being inside the circle, but so very wide. Had he been in his regular position, would have tried to stop it. That's 4 more runs. And again, a delivery that he will not be proud of. Sami Sohail just helping it on its way was Unmuk Chand.
And a big pressure release here for the Silicon Valley strikers, who had been held to just 3 in the last over, 6 the one before that, 4 and a wicket, 3 and a wicket. It had been really drying up for them out there in these middle overs to this point.
Tell you what, Unmuk Chand will breathe so easy. He scored 10 of 24. It was important for him to get going. A boundary under his belt will make him feel so much better.
Yeah, kind of remarkable to get this far in. That is his first shot to the boundary today.
Sometimes a batter feels at ease only when it comes to crisply from the middle of the bat, and if it's Unmuk Chand, the drive.
Certainly that one hit more authoritatively, but with Syed Saad Ali out there in the long on position, very sure hands.
Sami Sohail is also getting a word from the umpire to steer clear of the danger area. To all the viewers, danger area. is drawn straight in the line of the middle stump, the middle stump at the other end. And about 6-7 meters in, but not in the middle of the wicket.
And trying to avoid treading on that so as to create an unfair advantage potentially for spinners later on, roughening up the pitch.
Happens more so in the longer format of the game where there's more wear and tear. Still, if you could do some damage between Austin. Was it working?
It just stopped.
But now it. Sami Sohail is not one of those bowlers who bowls his over.
From Unmukt Chan, but otherwise just a single run off of it.
Very good delivery. He's bowling according to a plan and according to the field. A dot delivery to end the over, 62 for 2. Silicon Valley Strikers have the 11 overs.
1, 2, 3.
Joe, but
I'll be on.
the required rate is touched 8.18. And Narsinghya Ryan wanted to push off for that single. Once again, the plan to Unmukt Chan to bowl slightly wide and slow for Unmukt Chan to reach out to the ball has been working for Chicago Tigers.
My son, he's so soft-spoken.
Born for your true self. The 2022 Tundra. Toyota. Let's go places.
Working?
Yep, you're all good now.
Awesome.
Eight overs left, 71 runs needed. I've brought it up a few times. It's a statistician who's done some work on regression analysis to figure out roughly what gets you to the 50-50 point around this time of a chase, and it generally is needing 71 runs from the last 8 number of runs left to get, but 2 extra wickets in hand might put them somewhere around 60-40 at this point of the chase. But it has been a pitch with a few demons in it. They've had a tough time as of late getting free reign of things the way Lendl Simmons did early. That may change it, though. It's a race to the boundary rope and straight through. Narsinghya Narayan looking to shave some runs off that total in a hurry.
Welcome to the second spell is written all over it. Nursing Narayan. The moment he realizes that's in the slot, just free flow the arms and straight as an arrow.
Narrowly missing the Toyota board here. Ball driven like a tundra. Straight past Pinaka. And to the rope. Again, looking for that pressure release, trying to bring that run rate required a bit more under control. 8.5 at the moment.
You could almost sense that he was looking for a single now that he knows that he's got a boundary early on in the over. It's good to see that the fielder at point, Ackerman, on that occasion was absolutely ready. Sometimes it's a matter of 1 yard which can decide if you're going to take a single or no. Fielder along with it know how to recognize mini opportunities. Oh, that was close. That was very, very close. Almost could have chopped it on any other day. Any other day, one of the stumps would have flown. Pinaka.
The other shots at trying to get Lendl Simmons before he finally did. He is bowled much better than his figures would tell you. And his figures aren't half bad to begin with. 1 for 22.
1 for 22 with 2 unrealistic boundaries. It's going to be 4 nonetheless.
Exactly.
Good adjustment, good cricket all around. The batter trying to jump down the track. Pinaka pulling it back a little. Went through with it nonetheless. Narayan, but the fielder was inside the circle and went straight to him. The reason I say that he's kept it tight is because he's ensured that Narayan feels a little itchy to go for the big shot. Now, with 8 runs required, almost climbing to 9 with 8.93, the fielder at mid-wicket drops back to become a deep mid-wicket. Protection offered by 2 fielders on the leg side. He slapped it straight down the ground.
Stopped cold by the foot or possibly the shin of Deepchand Pinaka and just stared down Narayan afterwards. That was a moment.
That was typical Pinaka. He did not show that he was hurt. Just picks at the ball, onto his business again. Narayan was looking at it as if he struck a big one from the middle of the bat indeed. Now, this is the perfect time to bowl a slower delivery, you believe, Joe?
We will see. Bowls that into the surface just by Pinaka, looking to take the quick single, and they will.
He's taken 2 on the foot now. 2 on that left foot of his.
Well, he'll have at least 1 over to go ahead and nurse those potential wounds and get ready for his 4th over of work in a little bit. That ends that one. 5 from it. Run rate required starting to climb. 71 for 2.
She got this. Was in great touch indeed. Once that single is running towards the danger end as well, but it's not a clean collect, and Unmukh Chand will get there with no resistance whatsoever.
Certainly approaching Gary Graham time. Generally speaking, does most of his best work in the death overs, where he is striking at 216 on the season. And so he will be licking his chops. Knows what he's capable of out here. Somebody who can occasionally have very, very short stays at the crease, but has had so many important knocks. That one's in the air. Maybe a chance. Nope, that will carry to the boundary rope. It's a 6 for Unmukh Chand, his first of the day.
Unmukh Chand's patience is paying off. It took him 28 deliveries before he could get his first 6 in this game. What a good shot this one is. This was in the slot as well. But again, the plan is working. The plan is to make Unmukh reach out for the balls outside off and have a very wide, long off.
Enough. Good looking comeback delivery from Pinaka.
No.
Or correct, sorry, Kumar. My mistake. Gotten very used to seeing the good work from Pinaka, and yeah.
Pinaka becoming a spinner would be something else altogether. He had to rewrite the books. But Karan Kumar's done a decent job indeed. And he was, of course, in the side for his batting prowess too. Was a little slow to start off, but he's making it up making up for it with the ball in hand. He's done a decent job. Karan Kumar picked up a wicket in 3.2, an economy of 5.4. When the asking rate for the opponents is 8.8, he's done a great job indeed. Poor delivery. The curse of the commentator, perhaps. Narsingh Deonarayan smashed him straight over his head for 6. 2 sixes in the over. The required rate will ensure that it comes down. And within seconds, Silicon Valley Strikers snap back into the zone.
Indeed. Came in here, Kumar, with just 10 runs conceded off of his first 3. He's now given up 14 in this over and a pair of maximums, 1 to each batter.
Very well-timed aggression this from Deon.
Trying to take on Silicon Valley. There's just so much talent in that batting lineup. You think you're making inroads, and then somebody down the order manages to get it done, and it's happened now 14 times in 15 matches. Dot to finish things off, though, against Deonarayan. 14 from the over, 85 for 2, the target to win, and the target to Morrisville.
An over of pace. An over of pace from San Pedro end. Deepchand Pinaka's 1 over will be held back, and that would be absolute gold dust for Calvin Savage and Chicago Tigers. They've decided to go with task as well because he can deliver the slower ball that he's been working on ever since this tournament started. Gets a pat in the back from Sami. Gets the support from the captain. Can the youngster bloom and blossom under conditions which are high pressure? Situation, high pressure.
Well, they've been preparing him for this the entire season, almost exclusively bowling him in overs 15 and onward. Somebody who's got 10 wickets in 9 matches this year in the junior championships.
Slaps it straight. He's patrolling a big area, mind you. He's doing the deep extra all the way to deep point. Now there will be a fielder at deep square leg, not deep backward square, but deep square leg for Narsingh Deonarayan. Smitansh planning to bowl a shorter delivery.
Yeah, looking for something that Deonarayan might try to pull in the air.
Very good delivery. Once that single, Deonarayan will not get it. Squaring off against a stalwart and getting the better of him. The tap and run hasn't worked. Will Deonarayan go for plan B, which is to hit straight down the ground? A very, very straight long on and a very, very wide long off. That's a very typical. The bottom hand comes off. The required rate is 9 now.
51 for 34, now 50 off 33 needed. At this point, singles kind of as you were. Dot balls are gold dust, as you said. Wickets, diamonds. The strikers looking for roughly a boundary and over from this point forward to try to get home.
2 runs of the over so far. Half an over done and dusted with 50 required. He's got to cultivate or manufacture a shot here. Unmukh Chand is patiently waiting for his opportunity to go big.
I'm accustomed to. Usually does work his way around the track a bit more to try to get to the pitch of the ball, to try to get to the line of it, and haven't really seen as much of that today. A lot more patient, but as a result, perhaps not quite as productive.
Mitansh Nityanandam has got the better of the stalwart indeed. The death rattle is heard. Narsingh Deonarayan's huge heave. Now, the wicket that was needed the most. And he's answered above and beyond the call of duty. It'll be a captain who would be extremely pleased with a youngster.
And it would appear that Unmukh Chand and the dressing room for the Silicon Valley Strikers have decided it's still a little bit too early for Gary Graham. It will be Pranay Suri coming out here for the 15th.
Excellent delivery. Just keeping it straight. This one skidding through as well. Maybe a bit of bat involved in it. And the leg stump was slanted. Not a good sign for the batter. Outbox Suri, as Joe was mentioning, a little early perhaps for Graham. 9.1 the required rate. If not now, it's higher than this. But if Gary is not coming out now for the Silicon Valley Strikers, then Suri has got to go big from the word go, because Unmukh Chand at the moment is 25 of 32. He's not going great guns, but he's decided to bat naturally to avoid a collapse when you're chasing a big target. To have a set batter in at all times.
We'll be at 5, and right now the Strikers needing about a run more per over than that. But of course, Silicon Valley, renowned for what they do at the bat in the late going.
Accesses the gap better. Will also get it in the gap. Good enough. Had to dance down the track, otherwise would have gone straight to the fielder. Did so, gets a boundary in the end. One that teases the fielder till the end. 92 for 3.
Death overs, and it's Rana Aleti to take the ball, and this is a bit of a difference of strategy. He's only bowled 2 overs inside the death this season, so a bit of a different spot for him, a bit of pressure here with the season on the line. That's going to get by the keeper on the first delivery.
Crucial run. Every run is crucial, and that was crucial indeed. Sometimes you've got to make the opponents, of course, at all times. In fact, you've got to make the opponent work for their runs. On that occasion, it was a gift to Silicon Valley Strikers as they easily pick up a single due to the lapse in concentration from Bhatti. Chicago Tigers have made a game out of this, of course, by pushing the required rate up to 9. That is going to travel for 4. 1 bounce into the fence. Suri is dealing in boundaries, and it's a language that he's learning very, very quickly and is absolutely required to keep the required rate under check.
And Pranay Suri has been awfully effective as of late with bat in hand. Looking back at his last few innings, 40 against SoCal Lashings, 37 against East Bay, 34 against Seattle. 3 of his last 4 innings up over that 30 mark. In fact, with the lone exception of a 3 against Golden State Grizzlies, he's been in double figures every match out of his last 8 innings.
Yeah, you were absolutely right, Joe. I certainly believed it was time for Gary, but it was Suri time.
It turns out, 8 off of 2. That's about what you're hoping for from Gary Graham, so you can get it from other places too. All the better to have some options in that cupboard.
Pranay Suri, it's not like he's throwing his bat at it either. It was very classically struck, the first boundary. Yeah. And the second one, well-timed and well-executed. Change in field after a couple of boundaries from Suri. That's across 2 overs, of course. That's gone high, and that will also travel the distance. Pranay Suri is making the most of the opportunity. Boundary rope.
And that one right there, if anybody was going to pull it back in, it was the man backpedaling over there, Calvin Savage, tallest guy on the field, but even too high for him.
He's taking his chances, and it's paying off beautifully. Suri has brought the required rate down suddenly to 8.5, which is very manageable with 7 wickets in hand.
In fact, comparing the Worms, these last couple of overs, Silicon Valley had started off a bit ahead. They'd wound up trailing the Chicago Worm in the middle overs and are now back in front.
There should be a single. There is protection in the deep, but a single is a plenty at the moment as far as Unmukh Chand is concerned. Unmukh Chand is acting as the rock of reassurance in the middle for Silicon Valley Strikers, while Pranay Suri gets the big shots away.
12 already from the over, 15 off 4 for Surrey. The captain has just needed to be a source of calm and singles so far today.
Big appeal, but was it straight? That's the question. Suri wants a single as he was absorbed in taking a single. Suri makes it back. The drama has been evaded. Unmukh Chand, extremely experienced. You saw that just after surviving a shout, he's as calm and collected as possible, quietly inquiring to the umpire as well how many deliveries are left so that he can target the over accordingly. Quite content picking up a single because boundary ball in this over has come by. Required rate now under 8, 7.62 at the moment.
That single off the final ball will push it to 105 for 3. 15 off that over.
Now the required rate will go to 8.
What's up, Doug? What got into you?
At Sunoco, we know how to fuel peak performance. Fuel your best.
It's time for a showdown between the captains. Chicago with their season on the line. 4 overs to go in this one. Calvin Savage back into the attack. Unmukh Chand on strike. 33 runs needed from the last, 32 needed from the last 24 balls. It's getting tense around here in Morgan Hill.
Must-win game for Chicago Tigers to keep their hope alive. Poor delivery there would be signaled wide. Captain Calvin has decided to roll his arm over. Was holding himself back, I felt, an over or two. I genuinely felt he was going to bring himself on after Deepchand Pinaka's excellent couple of overs. Calvin Savage held himself back. He's bowling at a good economy of 2.5. The problem's been the wides. Calvin Savage.
When the pattern all season for Savage largely has been to bowl almost exclusively in the power play and at the death. 88% of his overs in one of those. That is a gorgeous cut shot behind the man at point, and that will run away to the boundary. Unmukh Chand looking to accelerate and get his team to Morrisville.
The countdown has begun from the Strikers fans all around the world. $27 required in 23 balls.
Asking rate down to 7s.
The equation's not tight at all, especially if 2 set batters are in the middle. Calvin Savage got to ensure that the angles are right. The field is set according to him. Calvin Savage, where is that Yorker? Is what the fans would be asking him. Gently guiding. That should have been stopped. That's also going for 4. A lazy attempt inside the circle. Back-to-back boundaries, and the game is back in the pockets of Silicon Valley Strikers.
You have to wonder on that one if it had a little bit of spin on it to get Bialetti that way, but did not move the feet at all, reached out a hand. That's just not going to get it done here at this part of the game. 23 now required.
A cool, calm, collected captain in Unmukh Chand, making sure the job is done and dusted with. At the moment, he's doing a terrific job indeed.
Well, and it's reached the point now where with the kind of batters that Silicon Valley have, this isn't going to be a game Chicago can win by restricting run rate. They're going to have to pick up wickets in order to do that. They're not going to keep these 2 under wraps for another 4 overs.
Much needed dot ball, but the pressure has already been vented with 2 back-to-back boundaries. Savage has got to finish this over very much in his team's favor. Any blip would mean more trouble for Chicago Tigers. I'm still wondering where the Yorker is, because Savage has this knack of getting the batters surprised with a very good Yorker. Change in field with third man who drops back, and man at mid-wicket, who was earlier stationed at deep mid-wicket. Very compact is Unmukh Chand with his stance. Catch it is the call. Will it carry? Oh, it doesn't. Takes it on the bounce, Sami. There was a moment where you felt like he could have converted that into a catch as well, but he chose to hang back and ensure it's not a boundary. What would have been more vital? A wicket at this stage.
At this point, they can get home with singles. Sohail's first step off of that, as that ball left the bat, was backwards, and I think that wound up being decisive. If he attacks that right out of the gate, maybe a chance to lay out and look for something special to swing the tide here.
Looked a little half-hearted as well from Unmukt Chand. It's the first lapse in concentration in a long time from Unmukt Chand, who's at the moment 34 or 38. But what he's done with his 34 or 38, striking at about 90, is the fact that he's shown the world that it's still possible to chase a target of this kind down if you're a solid rock at one end and you allow the other batters to bloom. This one didn't bounce as much. Calvin Savage will turn and try to deliver same delivery yet again as Pranay Suri, very baffled at the moment, will inspect the pitch. This looks like we are the ones who are getting a little itsy with that Yorker. Savage has other plans. Very much so.
Just one ball left in the over after the two boundaries, 2 dots and a single now.
Very good delivery to finish the over off, but the damage in the over has already been done with the first 2 balls in the boundary dispatched for 4s. 17 overs gone, 115 for 3.
Took that last corner pretty quick.
Sir, I need one hand on the roof, one hand on the pump.
Timeout for Sunoco Go Rewards.
Keep pumping.
With new Sunoco Go rewards, when you fuel, you save because rewards come first.
Like,
22 needed off 18 deliveries. And it's going to be Sami Sohail back into the attack. His final over of work coming up here in the 18th. He has been absolute money at the death this season.
Pressure.
It's been a little bit on the expensive side at 8.74, but has taken 12 of his 22 wickets in the final 5 overs of matches, a strike rate of 10.4. And what they need right now are a few wickets, something to slow down the scoring rate by removing 1 or 2 of these guys.
His economy has been excellent in this game so far, 4.67 in 3 overs. He's just given away 14, but the final over has to keep it as tight as possible. He's given the width on this occasion, and it would be a single. Chicago Tigers could have been better on the field, I really feel. There were a couple of opportunities. One, of course, with Lendl Simmons, but apart from that as well, on the field, a little sloppy and a lot of runs were leaked.
Well, we saw a decent bit of that from Silicon Valley in the first innings as well, so on some level, maybe canceling each other out on that front.
Suri, absolutely in control. And to break that momentum, to try to do so, it's going to be Sami Sohail. Everything to stop a single. Just tells you, make every run worth the fight is the buzzword in the camp of Chicago Tigers. Pranay Suri, someone who believes you don't need to take it down to the wire, you don't need to take it deep. Finish it off. 17 balls, 21. Chicago Tigers want to widen that gap and provide more pressure for the batters to deal with. Not in the best position to play that stroke, but will get that single that is so very much required. Might not be off the bat. Leg by signaled by the umpire. But the countdown has definitely begun with 20 required.
At this point, a run a ball almost gets you there.
20 required of 15 balls. That gap can be widened. A wicket might ruffle some feathers, of course. A wicket over here can set the cat amongst the pigeons, and that's exactly what Calvin Savage would be telling his boys. Let's go for the kill. If we try and hang back, and if we choose to be a little defensive, it's going to be a little difficult towards the end. Not from the best part of the bat. He's looking for two here. The second one would be very crucial. He's coming back for two. By the time the throw could come in, Unmukh Chand, you beauty. He's one of the quickest turners when he picks up the first run. I only imagine the load that must be borne by that ankle when he turns with full might and comes back for the second.
Now looks like an Olympic swimmer right there, pushing off the wall to get himself back.
Let me level swimmer in Unmukh Chand. He is a swimmer indeed.
Is that right?
We saw that perhaps with a diving catch against the East Bay Blade. Not for cricket, perhaps. Would have turned to swimming. I'll tell you what, I interviewed him about 3 years ago, and I asked him, what did you write in your scrapbook? Said engineer.
He's got this machine working like a well-oiled one.
Will that be a single? That would be tough. This is good exponent of how to cut down on the runs when the pressure is high. Chicago Tigers, they've got to find a way of picking up a wicket here. I am very baffled by the lack of slower deliveries towards the end when the bat swing will eventually be in such a manner that they want to send the ball a long way. And the lack of Yorkers too, we haven't seen one yet. Moving outside off, it's not a bad option at all. He's called for two here. Work to do. Suri wants to come back for the run to Chicago Tigers.
Not a particularly expensive over, but enough done in terms of damage. 120 for 3, excuse me, rather 122 for 3, 15 needed off the last two.
वक्त आ गया है लक्ष्मी बासमती राइस को घर लाने का। लक्ष्मी एक्स्ट्रा लॉन्ग बासमती राइस, इसका हर दाना हो इतना लंबा, पकते हुए महके और प्लेट पे क्या खूब खिले।
हाँ, मेरे घर लाने का।
By Sunoco. We've seen some terrific strokes today. But one from Lendl Simmons that just skied and never felt like coming down once it touched the clouds. Hit straight down the ground for 6. That shall be the shot of the day. Brought to you by Duffer News. If you were to take my pick, Joe, what would be yours?
Oh, it is tough to argue against that one. There have been a couple of Unmukh Chand cut shots that, even whether they got results or not, were rather impressive to me just from a technical standpoint. And so for the sake of aesthetics, if not effect, I might be inclined to take one of those.
True connoisseur of the game. Deep Chand Pinaka has been brought to bowl the penultimate over. He's got to leave a cushion big enough for perhaps Savage to bowl the final over.
Savage has one left, as does Rana Aleti, but he got knocked around a little bit here at the death. So two of the most effective guys today to try to close this out.
He's got the fielders in the right position. That'll only be a single. That's another risk that you run when you're trying to hit it too hard. The ball goes quicker to the fielder. You either ace it in the gap or remove him out of the equation by hitting it in the air and beyond. Sometimes when you're just gently tapping it down, you're picking up the second run, you're better off. Again, you've got to make that split-second decision, much like a fielder, when he sees the ball approaching in the air, has to make that split-second decision whether to hang back and stop it from going for 4 in the deep, or should he try and convert that into a catch. Deep.
That one hangs in the air for a moment, but it's going to land in the Bermuda Triangle. Thinking about 2, Surrey made the turn. It's a direct hit. But the umpire is unmoved.
That would have been a close call indeed. Surrey doing the basics right by dragging the bat and now helping with the furniture being set as well. That would have been a great scare indeed. He called for 2 as both the batters passed each other. The captain, you usually listen to the captain. He turned for 2 as well, but the throw was good enough on that occasion. Deep Chand Pinaka, what a wonderful delivery that is in all the drama that was brewed after that delivery. We forgot about the ball itself. Good delivery climbing up on Unmukh Chand. and with that extra pace that Deepchand Pinaka can generate, ensure that it's a single. Cheekiness will pay off. Unmukhchand waited for the right time to hunt the tiger down.
And that classy 4 is going to get rid of that gap between balls and runs that we've been alluding to. Now 13 off 10 becomes 9 off 9. Could get it done with singles to send the Silicon Valley Strikers to Morrisville.
Run ball 9 required. 7 wickets left. An air of reassurance with Pranay Suri signaling a thumbs up to the dugout. Deepchand Pinaka, single. Suri wanted a little bit more, will only get a single. The pressure is on. They were able to defend a very, very good total with 2 proper finishes out there in the deep for East Bay Blazers towards the end. Deepchand Pinaka would want to borrow a leaf out of their opponent's book and try and figure out a way to hold Silicon Valley Strikers at bay.
Needs to give Calvin Savage something to protect in the 20th.
Catch it is the call. Will this carry? Not pouched. That is not pouched. And not only that, it's also a single. Every single run is worth a fight. He's generated the opportunities, but not converted by the fielders.
He could easily have a 3 or 4 wicket haul today if the catches had been taken.
Deepchand Pinaka. A wicket, you never know, would bring a new man in. A dot delivery to begin with.
Is that a catch? My word, what a snag in the deep.
Terrific catch indeed, and at the right time as well.
Prithvish Patel, take a bow.
That was dipping on him, that was dying on him. Unmukhchand thought with a way it pinged off his bat, that was heading only one way, and that's beyond the fence. But Prithvish Patel stood there as the final frontier to pick up that ball and convert that into a catch as it was dipping so low. Fantastic catch, and at the right time as well, will disrupt some momentum from Silicon Valley Strikers. Is this what the Chicago Tigers needed? That little disruption in the opponent's momentum.
7 needed off of 6. We're headed to the final over. Gary Graham headed out to the crease. A 20th over thriller. Chicago playing for their lives. Silicon Valley playing for a spot in next weekend.
1, 2, 3.
Point more often than not as far as the Strikers are concerned, but it's Suri who's the man who's got 17 of 11. Mind you, how many would be left for the final over? How much of a cushion will Calvin Savage have is another question altogether.
7 to play with here.
7 to play with. 6 is his cushion. How much is he thinking right now? Is willing to offer. The reason I say that is because it all depends on the kind of field he sets. Is he comfortable giving a single at this stage? Or is he someone who wants to go for the kill from the word go? We are still waiting for that Yorker that hasn't come by. Not in 1 game, but 2 games put together. Calvin Savage's Yorker. Where would you find it? I think he's left it home so far.
You've got to certainly back yourself in a moment like this. You know that if you can get Gary Graham, that really changes things. No Roshan Primus, no Raymond Reefer waiting in reserve anymore. They're both getting ready for the 60 and the CPL.
So true, Joe. Calvin Savage knows the cushion is 6. The cushion is 6 and up against a man who can finish. You got to be spot on. Here is Calvin. Big swing and a miss, and a good collect by Bhatti. A muffled appeal which died down on its own.
Not quite a year ago, Gary Graham, the one who put together the big partnership to get into the postseason period in a game up in Davis, looking for the decisive blow here.
Calvin Savage running in with belief that he can ensure that his team stays in the hunt. The Tigers playing with the one thing in mind, that is to stay in the hunt. Gary Graham wanting to dissipate that dream. Coming back for the second. The second has been called off. The second run has been called off, but that could have been stopped. That should have been a dot ball indeed. Gary Graham was playing the game of 6-0, so was swinging for everything, of course. Suri has been this man who's been there for a while. He's faced 11 deliveries for his 17 and has looked good with some of those shots through the offside as well. How much will that single cost? Or will that prove to be a blessing in disguise? You never know.
Suri, worth noting, though, got most of those runs, 15 of them on his first 5 deliveries. He's been held largely in check since then.
Who understands the pitch better at the moment? Suri. That's one more thing to consider. Change in field for Suri. There's a man at covers. Third man comes inside the circle. Man at backward point. Fine legs inside the circle as well. Long on, long off, as straight as possible. Man at deep backward square and deep mid-wicket. Suri wants to pierce it in the gap. He'll get the first one for sure. The man, him back on strike. Runs required. 5 of 3.
The cushion is 4. We are decisively in super over territory. What a way to decide the day's action and whether we're coming back here on Sunday that would be.
Gary Graham knows it's a matter of one hit. So does Calvin Savage. Has got to ensure that even the inside edges don't run away. But fine leg still inside the circle, of course. Third man's as wide as possible. Calvin Savage, he wants to keep it out of the arc of the dreaded Gary and his sledgehammer. Who's going to take it? Calvin's under it. He's put it down. It's going to be 2 more runs as well. It's going to be 2 more runs too. Gary Graham has walked out with not one, but at least more lives for sure. Had that catch been taken, would have been a different story. Again, it's very difficult, Joe, to be running backwards to try and complete that catch. In hindsight, would the man at long off be better off, or long on that occasion, be better off trying to take that?
I mean, that was very close to where the bowler run up all season. Somebody who says in that moment, I've got this. Let me get my big hands wrapped around it, and calls off the fantastic fielder, Syed Saad Ali. Unable to make it count.
Everyone up on their feet. 3 required of 2. 2 for a super over. Gary gets it in the gap. Gary is calling for 2 as well. Not sure if the second one's on. And 1 it shall be. Under pressure, a fantastic throw from the deep. 2 required of the final ball. This is going down to the... And Silicon Valley Strikers would be on a plane to Morrisville. And Chicago Tigers would see the end of their dream. If this is a dot ball, Chicago Tigers come back tomorrow. They live another day and give themselves a chance to stay in the hunt, to advance in this tournament. Oh, what a game of cricket we're having. Morgan Hill never disappoints you.
What a remarkable comeback, especially from Chicago, from the disappointment and just the crestfallen nature of that first match today. Absolutely bludgeoned, and we said it at the start here. If they can pull out a 1-run victory, it looks just the same as what happened to them this morning. It would be 1-1, and we would have all to play for tomorrow morning.
Cabinet meeting called by Salvage. Calvin Savage has decided that it's time to get the think tank to... Suri is so very accurate when he tries to pierce it through the gap on the off as well. It's yet another super over in 2022 Toyota Minor League Cricket Championship. Calvin Savage would still believe it's a mini win for him as Chicago Tigers stay in the hunt. They definitely do.
The only way this could be more dramatic is if it was happening in Game 3.
The cricketing gods are listening to you, Joe.
All I know is that when I hear 3 off 2 and 2 off 1, as a New Zealand fan, I start sweating.
We're giving you a new jersey for sure. Would you believe it? What a game of cricket we're having, and it's not done yet. Promise you, 40 overs of high-octane cricket, and we can't separate these two sides. Captain Calvin Savage, he believed in his boys and promised it'll be better cricket on offer. And boy, did they deliver. It is Super overtime.
For any new American fans, the way this is going to work is 6 balls aside. First, the Silicon Valley said first one team bats, then the other. And we are going to we're going to have to make a decision that way. As a point of clarification, does that dreaded 2-word phrase apply here? If this ends up boundary count, okay. So we got to figure out that real quick. So for those that
I'll tell you what. What a game of cricket we're having. 40 overs of high-octane cricket, and we can't separate these two sides. That is the level of cricket we play at Morgan Hill in this tournament, as wonderful as it gets. In 2022 Toyota Minor League Cricket Championship presented by Sunoco.
If it does indeed come down to boundary count, by the way, the count is 16-14 in favor of the strikers. So they have that advantage potentially if the upcoming 12 balls also aren't enough to separate the sides.
Quick question, Joe. Fine. And as far as the batters are concerned, who's it going to be for Unmukh Chand and Co?
Ooh, boy. It really depends on what you're aiming for here. If you want to try and hit a few deep and put up runs quickly, in this last one, Pranay Suri, I would contend probably he and Lendl Simmons might be your best bet, given the way they're currently seeing the ball. I think Suri's got a very good sense of what's going on at the moment with that pitch. The two of them have had the most luck in terms of driving up strike rate. Hard to believe, though, that Unmukh Chand wouldn't put his own hand up in this situation. And so the question then is going to be, do you go back to the opening partnership, or do you go with the one that very nearly got you across the line just moments ago?
I won't be surprised if Unmukh Chand decides to walk out as well. Mind you, Pranay Suri got off to a lovely start, but was kept quiet after that. And the fact that he was unable to get the 2 runs of the final ball might keep him might make him a little iffy.
A fascinating decision out here. As for the selection of bowler, I would imagine that Calvin Savage, the one with the decision to make, is likely to pick himself. He's going for just 21. Sami Sahel, a slightly better economy. Deepchand Pinaka has been the one who's been in the wickets, and heaven knows if you're looking for somebody who might be able to get the 2 wickets inside that over, Pinaka has just created chance after chance after chance today.
If only one of those catches would have stuck. Boy, did Chicago Tigers make a game out of 1-3-6, the cushion that they had. Better catching, and you never know. They would have packed this important win and prepared for tomorrow's game. As far as Silicon Valley strikers are concerned, for over is unnecessary for them. They would have believed they could have got there with at least 2 balls to spare, if not more. But the situation stands. Chicago Tigers versus Silicon Valley strikers. 40 overs of amazing cricket, and still not able to separate these two.
They line up the field. Let's turn our attention to the other half of this equation. So Chicago Tigers, I'm going to throw a few names at you here, Suhas. Who are you calling to the crease? We've got Syed Saad Ali, 43 for 37, typically an opener. You've got Karan Kumar, 30 off 34 today, generally steady, but not quite so big on the acceleration.
Say no more. I want Mr. Sami Sohail alongside Syed Saad Ali to open the batting. Syed, very orthodox. Sami, very unorthodox.
It is a nice contrast, and certainly something that can upset the equilibrium of a bowler. Remind me as well, Syed Saad Ali, a lefty, correct?
Yeah.
And Sohail, a right-hander, so that also gives you that that ability to get the field moving throughout.
So very true. But that is, of course, if I am in that camp of Chicago Tigers. At the moment, Silicon Valley strikers, distance which were a little uncomfortable. In the end, they do not get over the line, but just on the line they stand. Now these 6 balls would be absolute gold. And Silicon Valley strikers, who do you think will bowl for them, the 6 balls? Netravalkar or somebody else?
Boy, you know, Netravalkar certainly seems like a good choice, although I'll put forward with the East Bay Blazers. I think there's at least a little bit of a thought for him. The weather's starting to cool down a little bit. Maybe he gets a bit more movement, and perhaps, but certainly worth at least a thought. Hard to argue against Netravalkar. The economy that he's had all season long doesn't tend to go for boundaries. That's somebody who you'd expect to be able to lean on in a moment like this as well.
But one thing that we've decided on that track of this kind, which is keeping low at times, and as you rightly put, has some demons to exorcise, it looks like you've got to go with a pacer to start with. It's not going to be a spinner. But you never know. You never know with the strikers.
Well, it's funny. I mean, it would be my guess that you'd go with a pacer, but now that you do mention it, Pranay Suri, Srini Raghavan, been in the wickets all day, very economical. Lots of great choices, and a tough decision here at this point. You wonder to what extent they plan this in advance, preparing for the possibility of a super over, or if the decision really is being made from scratch right now.
You don't wake up and say, let's play a super over today. You wake up and say, let's be our best today on the cricket field, and that's what both these teams were. And that is exactly why you watched 2022 Toyota Minor League Cricket Championship presented by Sunoco. Oh, what a dream tournament indeed for any fantastic cricketer to be in. It's been an absolute privilege to be a part of it as a broadcaster too, Joe.
Absolutely. Good to the last drop, or perhaps good to the last grain of basmati rice. Thanks again to Lakshmi, sponsor of the Silicon Valley Strikers. And let us see, Unmuk Chand, and it is Lendl Simmons coming to the crease with the West Indies deep red leg pads over the two-tone blue.
That's the West Indies, baby.
There you go.
And with ball in hand, no surprise here. It is the captain, Calvin Savage, giving his final indications. It'll be Unmuk Chand on strike, it appears, to begin the super over. Which is a little different from the way it's been done so far this season. Usually Chand the one in at 2. But he will face the first delivery from his fellow captain.
Simmons. Lendl Simmons and UC. Unmuk Chand. It's like turning back the clock, beginning from first ball. But Unmuk Chand's team not really romping home today. And Calvin Savage not bowing down. What a great contest on our hands. First ball. Something on it. Up goes the finger. Unmuk Chand gives a catch to Bhatti. And that means the strikers get off to the worst possible start. And they have one more wicket before the super over would be done and dusted with for them, remember.
Hands on heads in the fan area just to our left. Unmuk Chand looking for the cheeky bit of invention. Certainly the space was there in the field. Don't know if the delivery was the one you wanted to do that on. Didn't quite come up at the height where you can trust yourself to get that flick up over your head and get it in the air. And it will be the leading run scorer in minor league cricket, Shahan Jayasuriya, to come out now and partner Lendl Simmons for the final 5 balls.
Gone with the man in form on that particular day. They've gone with reputation here, the Silicon Valley Strikers management, and they've decided it's going to be Shahan Jayasuriya to provide that flurry. They're backing experience. They're backing experience and the fact that he's also left-handed, something that we discussed. Lendl Simmons is a big hitter of the cricket ball, but he's at the moment finding himself at the non-striker's head. It'd be of great use if he gets to strike, and boy, does he strike big. Calvin Savage wouldn't mind that at all. A wicket of the first ball. Pressure, huge pressure on Silicon Valley Strikers. Joe, what do you think is the plan over here for someone like Shahan Jayasuriya, who loves to cut the ball? We do not see anybody in the deep at deep backward point, perhaps. Now a fielder is stationed. Now a fielder stationed at deep point. 2 men come in for the cut shot. Looks like he has 1 year on commentary.
Monster of a gap over in the deep at the covers. Big opportunity there potentially for Shahan if he can get it over the first line. That's a dot ball, and that is absolute gold.
You said it, Joe. A dot ball is worth its weight in gold at the moment. Calvin Savage not backing down, providing the finish that his team wanted it to provide. First, defending crucial 6 runs, and now ensuring gets off to a dream start in the super over. Calvin Savage, the man leading from the front.
Third delivery, right arm around the wicket. Shahan Jayasuriya taps that to the side of the wicket, and that will be a single. Silicon Valley Strikers underway with a run, but only the one off of 3 balls.
Half an over done and dusted with just 1 run on the board. A lot of work to do for Lendl Simmons. He's done it before in the biggest of stages. He set the stage ablaze when he was in blue colors for Mumbai Indians. And that innings against Chennai Super Kings is something that he would want to replicate in these last 3 balls as well. Get it from the middle of the ball, middle of the bat rather. And once he gets it from the middle of the bat, you all know that the ball doesn't deserve to stay in the ground. So many times we've scurried for finding the box of balls, as this man never backs down. Calvin Savage knows that though.
So far a 48, a 52 not out, and a 35 in his brief minor league cricket career here with the Silicon Valley Strikers. Brought in as a replacement as a few of the West Indies players for the men in blue moseyed over to the CPL in the late going. But absolutely a proper like-for-like replacement.
Fine legs inside the circle. Third man slightly wider. Who's going out then? There is a long off, slightly wide. Very wide, long on. Calvin Savage, nerves of steel. Big swing and a miss. He's also targeting the right regions. He wants it as quickly as possible. Reminds me of the West Indian great Kirtley Ambrose, who wants that ball quickly as possible.
My word, absolute ice in his veins. Savage has had a rough day in the early going, but has just gotten better and better as the hours have ticked by on this long day of cricket, Suhas.
There's one man who has shown the world that anything is possible if you refuse to back in the deep. Keeps it down to a single, and a single is fine. As far as Calvin Savage and co are concerned, Chicago Tigers are finding their roar as they realize they might be spilling magic here. They might be brewing magic here in this super over.
Don't overlook there, Sammy Sohail able to hit the brakes out there on the boundary. That ball had some spin on it and very nearly played a trick on him to get to the rope.
You and I would have flown along with it. It was hit so hard. Sammy Sohail, give that man a bravery award for sure. Putting his body on the line as he tries to stop a missile launched towards him. The calls for 2, as it shall be. They're turning for 2 as well. Misfield will allow the second run as well. How crucial will that be? Especially when just 15 minutes, when you've realized every single run counts. That's the end of the super over.
And it's just 4 runs from it. 5 necessary for Chicago Tigers to extend their season by another day and send this series, possibly the only one that's going to find its way all the way to a decider.
5 is a magical number that the Tigers would be on the prowl for. Will the Strikers find home within those 4 runs? It's a small cushion, but we've seen them being able to defend before. The Tigers would believe, as they have the momentum, by stopping some magnificent hitters of the cricket ball to just 4 runs in the super over.
So, but I will throw out there, target is 5, and we've seen 5 defended beforehand by these Silicon Valley Strikers. It could absolutely happen. Taking a look again around the league at what other drama we have. Morrisville Raptors now 43 needed off 4 to keep their season alive. That is 4 overs, not 4 balls, just so we're clear here. 43 off 24, just so you know where to go. Of course, MLC Network on YouTube. Maybe head over there after we're done with this one, if you just can't get enough, and if you still have any fingernails left. Of course, the main drama elsewhere in our Pacific Conference is the weather tomorrow down in Texas, whether we're going to get a game in the Stangs would be awaiting the winner of our series here.
That's what we were discussing before this game started as well, isn't it, Joe? Seattle Thunderbolts playing their home games where there is an imminent risk of rain, not a drop of rain on that occasion. And then suddenly they travel and they...
So, Seattle will be hoping they get a chance to actually do it. And we've seen today in stark relief the any given Sunday aspect of cricket, the reason why you don't play these games on paper. Game 1, Silicon Valley Strikers utterly dominant. no problems with the ball, got one of those collapses that we had talked about. It happens occasionally with the Chicago Tigers, managed to hold them in double figures and chased it down with no problem. A slightly better batting performance from the Tigers here, and they get to show what they're capable of doing with the ball. They don't have to go out hunting wickets right from the get-go. They hold it tight, they keep their economy manageable, and they manage to get us to this super over. And Calvin Savage, my goodness, taking the baton and saying, let me get you a chance to take this one home.
Joe, got something that you might not want to hear, perhaps?
Oh.
It might be something like the boundary count. It might be sounding like that.
Oh. New Zealand fans everywhere cringe audibly.
Never know.
For those that might be new to this sport, I know we do have some tuning in from all over the country that are new to cricket. What you're hearing out of me is New Zealand's loss in the 2019 World Cup in a super over that they tied by boundary count. Silicon Valley Strikers perhaps win by boundary count if they can manage to hold Chicago to just these 4 runs that they scored in the first over. That is going to be a tall order, and I would have to imagine if what you're looking for is economy, Saurabh Netravalkar's got to be the guy.
Absolutely, and if you're looking at history, then it shall be Kulvinder Singh, but I genuinely believe when you end would be a better option.
And it is indeed Saurabh getting warm, although he's just stalwarts of production. Ryan Sadaheo, skinny. Doing a little bit of fielding outside the boundary rope now as we await the final 6 balls of today's action.
5 required. That's the beauty of cricket. Just when you feel the game's done and dusted with, no, it isn't. It'll give you more and more. A game that continues to give you a tournament that continues to give you a lot of fantastic cricketing options to view, and a lot of joy, thrills, and sometimes heartbreak as well.
And you are 1 for 2 on the batters here. Syed Saad Ali indeed out, but it is Calvin Savage again putting his hand up and saying, let me get this done.
Can Calvin Savage do a Harmeet Singh is what you need to say in minor league cricket parlance, because he was the other skipper who decided to bowl and bat and get it done for his side. Calvin Savage, the man with a bat in hand, will find himself with the non-strikers end to start with, as it looks like Saad Ali would face the first.
Saurabh Netravalkar so far today, a maiden over in his first over of work, that way back at 2:30 p.m. today. His second over, a wicket and a 1, but a bit more expensive in the late going. 5 runs plus a leg by in his over in the 18th, and it's easy to forget these things when you've seen so much over the course of a day, but let's not sleep on Sami Sahel's 6 to finish off the first innings. How important did that turn out to be?
Oh, absolutely important indeed. Every single catch and the run taken eventually turned out to be important from either side's perspective. At the moment, 5 is the magical number that Chicago Tigers are after. If they can hunt down 5, they stay alive. Saurabh Netravalkar will have the ball in hand. Up against Saad Ali, a calm, cool, collected, one of the stalwarts of Chicago cricket.
Netravalkar, a man who very nearly gave up cricket upon moving here to this country in 2015 to attend Cornell, was playing a little bit there, played at the Marin Cricket Club here in the Northern California Cricket Alliance, and after getting a job in the Bay Area, but he had 4 national team players on that club. They urged him to get in shape, and he has become one of the United States' best.
Saad Ali, we've talked about him being a great batter when it comes to composure. There's a sense that as he saunters to the batting crease, no pressure whatsoever. Saurabh Netravalkar, one of the best in the business that you could ever find to bowl a super over. Oh, this is going to be a contest for the ages. Silicon Valley Strikers, they can decide their advancement within a span of 6 balls. And it's those 5 runs required for the Chicago Tigers to stay alive. First one's in the gap, and he's called for 2 as well. And that'll reach the fence too.
And I think there's a little confusion about exactly how many are left because Deepchand Pinaka has made the sprint out there. 4 ties it. But because of the fact that Silicon Valley have had 16 boundaries to the 14 for the Chicago Tigers, we're not done yet.
I'll tell you what, Rahul Jariwala was suggesting anyway, if you're running in, could you just get the ball? A boundary is a perfect start for Chicago Tigers. Scores a level, 1 required.
It's going to take 5 dot balls or 2 wickets for Saurabh Netravalkar to keep this from going to Sunday.
Looks like we are going to be here on Sunday. Something that only one of the 2 commentators wanted. Joe, do you want to say more about it?
No.
We absolutely wanted to be here. I definitely did. Joe, I think
all I've said
students of yours are getting a day off. This one is struck and he wants that single. Single's going to be tough. It's directed. No, it isn't. That single would do the trick. Calvin Savage, he's done it for his side by making sure he defends 6 first up. And then Saad Ali took all but 2 balls to ensure that the game is done and dusted with. And Chicago Tigers live to tell the tale for yet another day as they will fight for advancement in this wonderful tournament come Sunday.
Could not have possibly had 2 more different matches here in the course of the action at Morgan Hill on Saturday. And boy, are we set up for a heck of a finish tomorrow. And I believe what I said at the beginning of the affair was that I would be ecstatic to be here for that, and I would also have been ecstatic to have a day off before the semester starts. But either way, we are going to have a blast.
Ecstatic is the word indeed, as so will every single person viewing this game be absolutely ecstatic. And if you have innings left, then I'll literally tell you, go watch the replay and the highlights again, especially of the final over from Calvin Savage, the skipper of Chicago Tigers. The Tigers roar as they stay alive in this tournament. The handshakes all around as interesting games of cricket between these 2 sides.
And we'll, of course, urge you to stick around with us. We're going to have a post-game presentation once everybody, players, commentators, fans, etc., have caught their breath from this breathless finish. Of course, if you're looking for something to check out in the meanwhile, you could do worse than 25 needed off 13 over in Morrisville as they try to keep their season alive. Maybe go ahead and call that up on YouTube, pause it, and you can watch it after our post-game presentation. But we'll be back in just a little bit with that here, and stick around. But I just want to mute. Cricket presented by Sunoco's final weekend in Morrisville. First ball bowled by Rana Aleti. Bit of a change from what we saw in the first match today when Calvin Savage, the captain, took the ball to begin the second innings. This time giving it to Aleti, who has been a power play mastermind for the Chicago Tigers. Has actually bowled nearly half their power play overs on the season.
Mindless batting. They need to string a good partnership together. But the margin of error will diminish, especially in the first 6 overs. He's tried his best to keep it in play, and he's done an excellent job in the end to stop a certain boundary. And gets so close to the stumps, but that is flying away. That's nowhere close. That's into the parking lot.
Look out, cars.
Cars would be in trouble once again as this one lands in the parking lot too. The 6s are getting bigger and bigger as well. He's bowled it slightly shorter, but it slapped straight down the ground. 1 bounce into the fence.
Aleti in the last over, but more of the same.
Oh, that will go through as well. A bit of luck for Simmons. Deepchand Pinaka. He needs to target the base of the stumps, I believe. If he's got a ball there, oh, it generates the edge. It's gone through again. What are the chances? What are the chances?
Be able to do that.
That's gone only high. This should be taken. This should be catch practice. 2 men coming underneath. It puts it down. The opportunity was created. Deep Chand Pinaka doesn't want to look at his fielders. League enough to draft him in the side. Big delivery. This is a big delivery indeed. There was something on it. It's gone. The umpire took a bit of time to raise the dreaded finger, but Pinaka's roar sums it up nicely.
Right now, eyes on Morgan Hill. It's a change of bowling. Spin coming from the Barrett Avenue end. That one in the air. Could be a chance, and it's taken. Shahan Jayasuriya gone in single figures for the third time in 4 matches.
He's looking at the bat in dismay. Mode because the field is nicely spread, and yeah, that's what he does. Just places it in the gap and picks up 2. You could see that he was starting off a little late. Oh, that's just close, they believe. That's close, they believe. The Tigers believe that's close.
Into it, but maybe Sahal's ball not coming from within it. There's an edge down to third man.
Franchise would be even more disturbed. Well, that'll be 4. That is exactly why we were talking about fine leg being inside the circle, but so very wide.
Free reign of things the way Lendl Simmons did early. That may change it, though. It's a race to the boundary rope and straight through Narsingh Diyanarayan.
Mini opportunities. Oh, that was close. That was very, very close. Almost could have chopped it on any other day.
Occasionally have very, very short stays at the crease, but has had so many important knocks. That one's in the air. Maybe a chance. Nope, that will carry to the boundary rope. It's a 6 for Unmukt
The
Chand.
asking rate for the opponents is 8.8. He's done a great job indeed. Poor delivery. The curse of the commentator, perhaps. Narsingh Diyanarayan smashed him straight over his head. Has got the better of the stalwart indeed. The death rattle is heard. Narsingh Diyanarayan's huge heave will end in disappointment.
For what they do at the bat in the late going.
Accesses the gap better. Will also get it in the gap. Good enough. He's kept it in play. But is that enough? No. The game out of this, of course, by pushing the required rate up to 9. That's gone high, and that will also travel the distance. Raneshwari is making the most of the opportunity.
In the power play and at the death, 88% of his overs in one of those. That is a gorgeous cut shot behind the man at point, and that will run away to the boundary. Unmukt Chand.
Savage, where is that Yorker? Is what the fans would be asking him. Gently guiding. That should have been stopped. That's also going for 4. A lazy attempt inside the circle. Is Unmukt Chand with his stance. Catch it is the call. Will it carry? Oh, it doesn't. Takes it on the bounce. Sami. There was a moment where you felt like he could have converted that into a catch as well. But he...
That one hangs in the air for a moment, but it's going to land in the Bermuda Triangle. Thinking about 2. Surrey made the turn. It's a direct hit.
That it's a single. Cheekiness will pay off. Unmukt Chand waited for the right time to hunt the Tiger down.
Savage something to protect in the 20th.
Catch it is the call. Will this carry? Not pouched.
Silicon Valley potentially 1 shot away from tying it. That one is in the air, and is that a catch? My word, what a snag in the deep.
That's gone high. That's gone very high. This should be 2 off 1 ball. Calvin gets it right. That's straight to point. The single would be taken, and it's a super over. It's yet another super over in 2022 Toyota Minor League Cricket Championship. Calvin Savage would still believe it's a mini win for him as Chicago Tigers stay in the hunt. They definitely super over. It's a catch to Bhatti.
Big opportunity there potentially for Shahan if he can get it over the first line. That's a dot ball, and that is absolute gold. Third delivery, right arm around the wicket. Shahan Jayasuriya taps that to the side of the wicket, and that will be a single. Silicon Valley Strikers underway with a run, but only the 1.
Calvin Savage, nerves of steel. Big swing and a miss. He's also targeting the right regions. He wants it as quickly as possible. He did get it from the middle of the bat, but it's traveling quickly too, as it shall be. They're turning for 2 as well. Misfield will allow the second run as well. How crucial will that be? Especially when just 15 minutes. Reach the fence too.
And I think there's a little confusion. All I've said.
Students of yours are getting a day off. This one is struck in. He wants that single. Single's going to be tough. It's directed. No, it isn't. That single would do the trick. Calvin Savage, he's done it for his side. by making sure he defends 6 first up, and then Saad Ali took all but 2 balls to ensure that the game is done and dust. Fight for advancement in this wonderful tournament come Sunday.
Could not have possibly had 2 more different matches here in the course of the action at Morgan Hill on Saturday. And boy, are we set up for a heck of a finish tomorrow. And I believe what I said at the beginning of the affair was that I would be away. We are going to have a blast.
Ecstatic is the word indeed. As so will every single person viewing this game be absolutely ecstatic.
You're watching the Toyota Minor League Cricket Championship, presented by Sunoco.
And we are playing the quarterfinals at Morgan Hill, California. Though it's a best of 3 games and both the teams have won each game, 1 game each. And today, in the second game, Chicago Tigers has taken the lead. I would like to call Unmukh Chand, who was playing for Silicon Valley Strikers. So this is the
No, I think especially after that start, we should have easily won this game. But I think a little bit of complacency and I mean, we didn't bat well. To be very honest, I think we need to sort of get our shit together and come back stronger tomorrow.
It's going to be a tiebreaker tomorrow, and we don't know who's going to win because cricket is a funny game, and we'll see tomorrow. Thank you so much, and all the best for tomorrow.
Thank you. Thanks.
And the team who gave a great fight to Silicon Valley Strikers is none other than Chicago Tigers. I think they proved themselves in the second game how strong they are as a team. I would like to call the captain and man exchange in the second game, and very happy to see that. And you became the man of the match. The super over was great with 4 runs and 1 wicket. How do you feel now?
Very, very chuffed. So proud of our team. To come out and get to the playoffs, to turn it on. And the way we went this morning was a tough pill to swallow, and to turn up like we did this afternoon and bounce it.
Thank you. I'm sure we all will be very excited to watch the tiebreaker tomorrow. See you all. Thank you so much.
You're watching the Toyota Minor League Cricket Championship, presented by Sunoco.